Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Busy day today. I like busy. I said it all the time, like those days when we're not busy, where we're like, God, I just want a day where we're not busy. And we go through 2 years of literally sitting at home and we're like, fuck, I'm too busy. Like, we are the people that cannot be pleased at all. Anyway, welcome to the program. My name is Dean. That is always Lock and Cross 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton. We've got Alex Dayrabekov live in Ukraine coming up at 4 o'clock with some really chilling stuff and some great stories and some sad stories. And we'll see how we can help today.
Is he okay? Is he still
Yeah,
doing
he's
okay?
good. He's good. He's good. He's still happy. He's still kicking ass. So we're going to have him on the program.
Do we know about Anthony?
Anthony is in Medica, I believe. His base was bombed. 35 people he knew died. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, so he's EMR stuff. But please welcome to the program ahead of that a friend of ours and a friend of yours. He's a family physician in London at Super Mario Elia on Twitter is where you can find him. Family physician, Dr. Mario Elia. Ladies and gentlemen, nice to see you, Doc. Good to see you. It's been a while. You look the same, so it hasn't been that long.
I'm balding more.
I mean, I've been keeping track of your hair loss, Mario, and it's going back.
Yeah, it's not going well. It's not going well. We've been doing this. Well, Locke, you got me beat, but I'm speeding towards you. I'm coming from behind, and look out, because here.
Do you have a plan for that? Do you? Because listen, I've got family members, and I'm losing it. I got the fox ears. I would rather be bald than be Arctic blonde, as I call it. But I talk to guys that are losing their hair and like, what's the plan? So what is the plan?
Pretty fucking personal question there, but yeah, let's go. My plan is, my dad has hair that he's holding on to, but it's it's not thick, right? So I know where I'm heading, and topical Rogaine is a bit of a waste. Like I don't have the patience to be putting shit on my hair every day.
Dude, I use it all the time. I
know, but I don't have. If it's a cream, I barely put Vaseline on my eczema, for goodness sakes, which I need to, right? So I can't be relied on to do creams. Propecia, the pill, is gonna be the go-to at some point. The thing with Propecia, I don't know if you guys know Propecia. You guys heard of it?
It's hair growth on a number of different areas of your body.
Yeah, but the issue with Propecia is that you've got to commit. Like, if you're going to do it, you got to know that, yes, your hair is going to grow, but if you stop it, you basically fall to where you would have been if you'd never gone on it. It's because people stop it and they're like, what the hell did you put me on? Now that I'm not on it, I'm losing hair left and right. And that's the trajectory you would have been on if you were never on it. So if you're going to go on it, you got to, kind of in for the long haul, or you got to be ready for a pretty abrupt hair loss at some point.
Are these things safe? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's safe.
And are there pills are there pills for guys like me who don't like to have hair, who want to get rid of the hair? I would love to be hairless. It's my thing.
No, just laser, right? Laser, and which is expensive as hell. Yeah. But so I feel like I'm doing a Propecia ad here, but the potential side effects, very low risk of erectile dysfunction.
Any risk is too much of a risk, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's the only thing I have left to look forward to every day.
I haven't had any patients who've been on it stop it due to that, but it is a theoretical risk. It's a couple percentage points. And after stopping, it tends to rebound right away. And decreased libido, so kind of hand in hand. But
Jesus,
I don't know any guy on this planet that if he had a choice to make is like, listen, boners.
Well, that's why
boners.
That's why
boner 9 times out of 9.
Exactly, but that's why it's not a clear cut. Do it. Who wouldn't want more hair? It's there are pros and cons, right? So
I never worried about my hair. I had a kid, and I panicked because I realized I was still a child. And I was like, how does a child raise a child? And then I realized that I had my wife and she was going to do the bulk of that work.
That's a true story. She did. She raised all the kids. He's not lying. He did nothing.
27, and she went downhill from there. I always thought it was your mom's father that you were more closely aligned to.
Yeah, that's all bullshit, isn't it?
It's a coin flip.
Yeah.
People get involved from all kinds of.
Because he went to the war. He went to World War II. He actually signed up early, lied about his age. He was 17, went overseas and had like a traumatic experience and lost all his hair in like a couple of months. And he was like 18 and he had a little Friar Tuck thing when he came home.
Stress will do it. Stress will do it.
Stress gave you that. I would be willing to bet money.
It's the most common cause of hair loss, particularly in women. When women get kind of abrupt hair loss, around pregnancy or through stressors, it's called telogen effluvium is what it's called, and they come in panic. Why am I losing all this hair? Removing the stressor, they tend to get hair growth over time, but it's quite distressing when they're just losing hair for no good reason. They don't know why.
Speaking of people losing hair for no good reason, Austin Matthews. I don't. What's going to happen first? Is he going to be a bald hockey player, or is his contract going to be up? It's a race. Did you watch?
Well, Mitchie's got a good head of hair. I can't imagine Mitchie going bald.
He's great flow.
Got a good head of hair. So.
Did you watch the Heritage Classic this weekend?
The Heritage Classic, that was very good. Very good. Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Good intro there. Yeah.
We're professional broadcasters, Mary.
We segue. We know how to segue.
More of that.
Are you nervous about who's in goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs down the stretch like everybody else?
You saw Mrazek against Arizona.
No good. Oh,
it's funny. That same night is when Nedeljkovic made that horrible play as well, and you almost won. With how much sports gambling sites that are out there, though, for those two to happen the same night, you're thinking, oh my god, like where are we headed with sports gambling and goalies throwing games? Because they already look horrible as it is. It wouldn't take them much to start letting a few in to hit the over.
You accusing Leafs goaltenders of throwing games on purpose for money? Is that what?
No, I don't think they have to. I think that's their baseline skill level at this point. But if anyone were to, no, it's bad.
Yeah, I've been finding it very difficult to watch this over the last couple of months. I'll admit it. It's been very hard seeing you guys.
And that's coming from someone
struggle.
That's coming from an Oilers fan. So
there you go. Anyway, listen, I wanted to have you on and talk about a bunch of stuff. I'm glad we got to the our vulnerabilities in and around the cranial region. That's cool. I'm glad we got to some Leaf stuff because we don't often do it, and it kills me every day. But the world is fairly serious. We got a couple of things bearing down on us. Really wanted to have you on. Dr. Mario Elia is a family physician, and I trust everything this guy says because he's not one of those dudes that hits the panic button. Like everybody does, because I saw a lot of that over the past few days when we got the announcement of the mandates coming down and restrictions coming down. I see the words, you're a fearmonger, when guys are like, hey, guess what? The sixth wave is going to come. Or I can't believe that they released vaccine mandates and masking restrictions. Yeah, this is going to kill my child. Everybody's going to die. Like there are extreme polar opposites on every side, and you have a way of kind of bringing us back into the middle. So let me put a couple of graphics up on the old screen ski for you, and I want your thoughts. We wrote a piece on this. China, massive outbreak. They've locked a bunch of people down again. This is how it started almost 2 years ago to the day. March 14th, 2 years ago is when this whole thing started.
To be fair, though, when China gets like 10 positive cases, they go in and beat the guys that got the positive case with canes, and then they lock the whole city down and they call it an outbreak.
Or they don't, and they pretend nothing's wrong because they don't give a shit about humanity, and then we get a 2-year pandemic. I mean, that's how the last one worked. So it's eerie, and I want to put this on. This is from CBS this morning. Fast-spreading stealth Omicron variant BA2 fueling China's biggest outbreak since it started the pandemic 2 years ago. You get the Tampa Bay Times, a little closer to home, Global News. This is widely being reported, and people are freaking out. We dropped mask mandates. Can you kind of give us your version of how we should be feeling and how we should be approaching this from your professional medical experience and the amount of reading you do and just your general easygoing, normal opinion? That would be great.
For sure. First, I have to comment on the hilarity of the hazmat suits that are still being used in China. Like as people who've like have been treated COVID positive patients for a while, for months now. I've seen many people in person who had COVID, and I reached into their car to swab them. The fact that the guy still got a hazmat suit on is a little bit funny.
You don't have one of those bad boys? You didn't?
So early on in the pandemic, I don't think I was talking as like early days in the pandemic, but when we had basically no PPE, right? So we, our clinic here reached out to Lens Mills stores, a fabric company here in town, to ask if we were to get the prints from like if we were to get an example gown from the hospital, like hospital grade gown, and we were to make a pattern of it, would we be able to get all this fabric and make these gowns out of this? And Lens Mills store here in London donated a ton of fabric to us back March 2020, and they even made the print for us. And I brought them a gown. I went to the hospital. The hospital gave me a gown. I gave it to Lens Mills. They did up a pattern for us, and we basically had a few dozen volunteer sewers here in London take this like reams of fabric. I don't think I have any left. I still had some in my office until a few weeks ago, but they made us probably close to 100 gowns early on because we didn't have anything, right? And we didn't know how the heck this thing was spread. We were washing our groceries and all this crazy shit that we were doing back then, but we didn't know how what kind of clothing we needed, right? So we thought we needed these gowns, so we had like hundreds made. So as much as I tease the Chinese for their hazmat suits, we have some wild floral prints with gowns. We have some pink flowers that I wear outside when I see patients.
That's right.
I've got some Star Wars ones, so we've got some pretty wild prints ourselves. So I can't make fun of the Chinese.
Attaboy. You shouldn't.
So where are we with COVID? So the question I've gotten most often in the last couple of weeks from patients is, provinces lifting the mask mandates, what do we do? And should we be worried? Is this a good idea? What's going on? So first off, I think it's pretty obvious to most people that the timing of this, the exact timing of it, whether it was done now or 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, the timing of it's pretty political, right? No one's under any illusions that politics hasn't played a role in things being loosened in terms of the mask.
Talking about the election in 3 months, is that what you're referencing?
Right. This is part of the political machinations behind the scenes. So that's obviously playing a role. The question is it the right decision, the wrong decision? And here's what I would say. I think we're at the point with COVID, with Omicron, and we'll talk about the other variant in a sec. But with Omicron, we're at the point, I think, and we see this data from the UK, that the likelihood of someone getting ill from COVID right now, given our vaccination rates and given community, our immunity in the community that we have right now from people having gotten it, we're at a point right now where someone's risk of getting ill from COVID is probably less than getting ill from the flu, if we look at it from a population standpoint. So given that, it's difficult to justify ongoing restrictions like masking. It's not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it was the right decision at the time, but it's more difficult to justify now than it would have been a few months ago. And the question is going to become, at what point then do we feel comfortable? Because a lot of us saw the mask mandate lift and think, well, why now? Like, can we just wait a few more weeks or maybe like a month? Like, what's the rush, right? And the pushback on that would be, because that was my reaction. My reaction is, well, can we just wait till like April? Like, why do we have ants in our pants to lift it?
That would be your suggestion from the doctoring that you've been doing firsthand. Is like, hey, why don't we just wait till April, maybe late April, early May?
I think so, because how many people are not doing, like, how many people are not going to the grocery store or Shoppers or wherever because they have to wear a mask? It's 2 years, right? What's another month? Now, the pushback on that is, well, we can't just keep kicking the can down the road just because we feel viscerally uncomfortable with something too, right? Because we all have kind of the heebie-jeebies about doing certain things with COVID, and we need an objective reason to extend things, not just we kind of feel this way, right? So that's the balance that we're trying to strike here. So what I would say is this: am I comfortable with the lifting of it? Not entirely. Am I opposed to it enough to really make a stink out of it and cry from the rafters that the province is actively killing people by lifting the mask mandates? Not really. Part of that is perhaps a bit of COVID fatigue from my, personally a bit of projection myself onto the situation, but I'm not so opposed that I'm screaming bloody murder at Doug Ford. Now, from my patient standpoint, because the question they've had is, well, what do we do then? Right? Because
that's the only question I get from people, right? When we talk about it, like I was telling some people we were having you on the show, and they're like, "Can you ask him what I'm supposed to do?"
Yeah. Well, and this is the irony of this, right? Is that we've been telling people how to live their lives for 2 years, and now we're like, now figure it out yourselves. And people are like, wait, what? I need some direction here about what I should do and what I shouldn't do. So what I'm telling people for the most part is, in areas like supermarkets and drugstores, and if you're going to the hockey game, and if you're anywhere where you're around a lot of people, you should probably be wearing a mask. And I'm going to be wearing a mask in those settings for a while. We're all going to have our own thresholds and our own kind of regression back to our normal as to when we're comfortable ditching the mask. And when we're comfortable doing certain things. And that's not something the government's going to be able to tell us. Public health gives some direction, but it's all going to be kind of our own personal judgment. But for now, again, I'm wearing a mask in those settings. Especially, I still don't want to get COVID, right? Am I concerned about my own personal risk of getting COVID, considering I've had 3 doses now? I'm not concerned about my risk of hospitalization or getting really sick. It's inconvenient as hell to get COVID because I don't really want to be off for 5 days. I could probably use a week off work at some point, so I'll have the time want to get COVID. But it's more the inconvenience and the fact that if I get sick, kids are home from school again for another week. My daughter's just acclimating to preschool. I don't want that to happen. So it's more of a personal decision rather than I'm fearful of getting COVID. The thing I'm telling people most often in my practice is that if you're triple vaccinated and you don't have an immune compromising condition, you can essentially live life normally, right? And
normally meaning no mask, you can go to a hockey game.
Wear the mask because again, it's something that's so easy. If someone has like a deep philosophical objection to wearing a mask,
right?
Sure, but if it's not a huge inconvenience, still wear it for a little bit until at least we're out of the next month or so.
That's what we've decided, my wife and I.
Say it again.
I said that's what my wife and I have sort of decided. We're going to continue to wear the mask.
And that's really any age. I've been telling that to. Should they be getting together with these people or these people or these people? If you're triple vaccinated and don't have an immune compromising condition, go for it. Now, for those who do have an immune compromising condition, it's an individual decision about at what point did they start living a normal life, because we're going to have some element of COVID there. For a while, and I just see in the comments places those who are immune compromised in a terrible position. Absolutely. So we still need to provide services to those who are immune compromised. We still need to, if you see somebody wearing a mask, I'm waiting for the situation where I'm in public and somebody criticizes somebody for wearing a mask. I'm going to jump on them like grim death. If you guys, most of you have seen the video from DeSantis there where he
shits on
I would have punched him right in the mouth. That's just bullshit. That's bullshit. Right. Unfortunately, Mario, that's the problem I have, is that now we're at a point where we're going to dictate whether or not or how we actually move forward with the mask. Just take the mask, for instance, is going to be based on people's insecurities about the environment that they're in, right? And that's the unfortunate part about it. Rather than be concerned about or have your health take a priority, it's going to be, well, no one else is wearing a mask. Should we wear the mask? I don't think we should wear the mask. That's the world that we live in. And everybody can go, I'm going to do what I want to do. But that's not the way people are wired. We're all sort of wired to figure out how everybody else feels and then make a determination from that.
Yeah, compete with the norm, right? That's how we're wired, to compete with the norm.
And that's a concern I have in schools, right? So there are going to be kids who make their own decision they want to continue wearing a mask. There's going to be kids whose parents are going to insist they wear a mask. There's going to be other kids who either don't want to wear a mask themselves or the parents have told them to ditch the mask. And we can't get into a situation where those who decided to wear a mask are, shamed or made to feel that they're doing something wrong by wearing a mask too. So this is going to be this transition we're going to be in for a while, where ultimately, if we just take the approach of, empathy and caring, and, some people are going to make some decisions, some people are going to make another decision, and that's cool. And we're just going to all live with each other's decisions. If we take that approach, we're going to be good. If we start, again, if this pendulum goes too far the other way, where people wearing masks are made to feel that they're overreacting, that's not appropriate, right? Because we've been in a pandemic for 2 years. Everybody is going to have their own path to feeling normal again.
Yeah.
Right? Some people may wear a mask in grocery stores for the rest of their lives.
And that should be fine. We may
not be able to make them feel comfortable.
That should be fine.
And that's fine. And we need to be able to provide them that. There's going to be kids, a bigger concern I have, I think, is there's going to be kids who potentially feel a certain element of anxiety, not necessarily about health anxiety, but just about having, showing their face again. And that's going to take some element of support to getting them comfortable with showing their teeth, showing their face again. And that's going to take some time too. So just, again, allowing people that time, allowing people to kind of come at their own pace is going to be important. I think that, again, it's a different argument, a different discussion than should the government be mandating, masks to be worn. I think that's, again, there's a threshold that needs to be met for that to continue. And I think that's a distinct conversation than what should individuals be doing, and what, how should we be reacting to people who want to continue wearing masks.
I said it last week because we're all sort of at different stages of this sort of escalation of the mandates, and Alberta might be ahead of the game a little bit, or ahead of the curve with respect to Ontario and back east, and we're pulling the mask mandate here. We pulled it already, and I said that to Dean. I said, I think there has been a conversation behind the scenes from public officials about the pushback and about the politicization of this, the politically sort of stance that a lot of people have taken on this, like that Santos and others. It's ridiculous. And I have a feeling that part of the reasoning behind them jumping away or getting out of this is because they realize that the mistakes have been made, and they need to stop mandating this stuff and leave it up to individuals to sort of control. And again, as soon as you say that, somebody in the comments section will go, "We're not taking care of our," like, and so I believe though that that's exactly what happened behind the scenes. They sat down at tables and they went, we're not going to convince a certain percentage of the population to do this or that, and all we're doing is we're just continuing to damage our own reputations, and we're continuing to muddy the waters. So we just gotta get out.
Well, because there's that extreme segment that has been opposed to everything the whole pandemic, right?
You mean fucking
we're never
losers?
going to convince. Yeah, they were never going to convince them, right? You lost them a long time ago, and
before it started,
political party. Yeah, they left a long time ago. No reasonable political party is going to ever rope them back in. So, they're not that anyone can be written off, but politically you have to write them off. I think the concern that governments, and look at here in Ontario, the concern is that the longer things go, then you're bleeding more and more, right? You're bleeding more and more to that extreme. People had argued about making the vaccine mandatory in schools, and I had a number of which again, I'm not even confident in my own thoughts about that necessarily, but a number of parents in my practice who haven't got their kids vaccinated, who've got their kids vaccinated for other things but just won't for COVID, and I advise them that they should, but they still won't, have been adamant that if that ever came down where their children would be mandated to be vaccinated, that they would just flip out and they would jump into political pools that they would never have thought that they would have before. So, and that's a lot of, you look at the vaccination rates amongst kids, which is obviously lagged behind adult rates. Again, that's part of the reason I'm sure we didn't see that is just, again, the politics of what that would have.
Yeah,
would
dude,
have
I have
the massive misinformation on that one was out of hand. I mean, it's one thing to be pissed off at the government telling you what to do. That we're going to be picking apart that and dissecting that for years. The misinformation revolving around the kids and
Yeah, I mean,
Even
it
now,
all
right?
adds up. Like each time that we log on, I mean, it's a concerted effort to literally get to the parents by getting to the kids, and the kids have all been affected by it. We know that with the disinformation. But what do you tell a parent? Like, because I've got relatives that have like literally pulled their kids out of school and just are homeschooling them and homeschooling them because they don't believe that they shouldn't have to wear a mask in school, right? And so now you've got, I don't know if you watched Fordsy's press conference last week with Kieran Moore, Dr. Kieran Moore, who I have zero respect for anymore for some reason. I think because he lied, but that's just my opinion. With the chief medical officer, and he's doing one of these. Do not wear masks in school. One of the questions was, hey, can school boards still decide if kids should have to wear masks in school? Because a lot of parents are very concerned. They love their kids. It's a good thing to be concerned about your kids' health and safety. So going back to that, I don't want to demonize anybody for basically warning kids to be part of the don't wear a mask cult. But I mean, it inserts some fear into the conversation for parents, for kids. So just as a doctor, your kid's in high school going back on the 21st. Is that something you're telling your patients? Hey, probably a good idea to keep it on if your kid's in high school.
Yeah. Like if the kid doesn't, this is, you know, pick your battles as a parent, right? If your kid is open to wearing it and is comfortable with that, I think encouraging them to continue wearing it's going to be reasonable. If, again, this is where everyone's in such a different spot, right? If this is one of the many battles you need to fight with your child, and there's other stuff behind the scenes, and this is just one area where you can just agree to disagree, and the kid's gonna not want to wear a mask. Would I fight it? Not necessarily. Again, my daughter's in preschool and hasn't been masked this entire time. Am I concerned? And so this is actually a conversation I had with my wife many months ago. Right, she was very worried about our daughter's risk about being in preschool and getting COVID, and I told her, I'm not worried. Right, that doesn't mean there's no risk. And this is where each of us are going to have our own feelings and opinions on the information that we've encountered. Right, but my information bubble is different than yours, and is different than Loc's. We've each encountered different information. But based on the information that I'm aware of, I wasn't concerned enough to lose any sleep over my daughter going to preschool unmasked, knowing full well she could have gotten COVID, and other kids in her class have gotten COVID. My daughter's gotten a million other viruses in the last few months, which have caused their own problems. But I wasn't concerned about COVID enough. Now, if she was eligible for vaccination, will I get her vaccinated? Of course I will. Absolutely, in a heartbeat I will. And every parent really should be considering getting their kids vaccinated if they're eligible. But it's that, again, balance of there is some risk, but what does that mean in terms of how we get back to normal life? Because, again, COVID's probably not going anywhere for a while. This is going to continue to evolve. We're seeing new variants, and this is going to continue to evolve. We've got our 3 doses for a lot of us, right? That's pretty damn good.
Are you going to get a 4th, Dr. Mario?
Gotta look. If I was offered a 4th today, would I get one? No, not based on data today.
Okay.
Because it looks like prevention against severe disease looks like it's pretty good against 3 for the majority of people. If you're in a nursing home, retirement home, congregate setting, immunosuppressed, you need 4, absolutely. But for the average healthy youngish person, 3 looks like it's sufficient. But that might change, right? We said 2 was enough for a while until we saw
don't do that. Don't do that. That may change. Don't do that. You're going to freak people out, dude.
I know, but this is
we should be able to handle that kind of information, though. That
lack of certainty from me. I know.
Yeah.
But
I think we should be, Dr. Mary, we should be able to handle that kind of. We should be, as a society, we should be able to hear somebody go, you know what? Listen, a mask isn't 100%, but it might help. Social distancing, not 100%, but it might help. You need 1, okay? We've reevaluated. You need 2 shots now. We should be able to handle that information. Why can't we? It baffles me. I heard it from the beginning.
But every time
isn't a 100%.
Right.
It isn't 100%. You might need 2. You might still get COVID even if you're vaccinated. I heard all of that shit, and then to hear people go, "Oh my God, I could still get it now that I've had 2. What's wrong? Is the world?"
Yeah, you can still get it no matter what.
Holy
It's
shit,
just
people.
But they don't understand that the levels of protection conversation is really the conversation. It's not about a cure, right? Like they don't get it. They don't comprehend it. And every time you say something like that, that's why when you're like, yeah, you know what, a 4th might be cool in certain settings. And so I'm like, oh fuck, he just gave the people the dirt.
But like Locke said, right? Like some people hear that and say, "You lied to me. You told me I only needed 2 doses.
Yes.
That's the only reason I got it was 2." Nobody ever. The thing that drives me most bananas is the people who are still saying, "Oh, they said it was only going to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve." Nobody ever promised that. They said that we would reassess things in 2 weeks, but the idea that we're going to flatten the curve in 2 weeks and that was going to be it. You guys have probably seen this online. People are still complaining. Like anytime anybody complains about COVID.
Krista Ford's the best at it. Krista Ford's the best. She's like every day she'd like 2 weeks to flatten the curve. It's been 2 years, people. Only thing that can stop this is Jesus and love. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand anything to do with infectious
It's not even the
disease.
crazy religious idiots. It's like my mom.
Just dumb people. Yeah.
My mom's like, how many more times do we have to get told this? And I'm like, Mom, Jesus, like, you did you not listen? Were you not hearing?
It's everybody though, and the disinformation is like part of it.
Love you, Mom.
And pieces of me are thinking, like, every time I see something on COVID now, I'm like, I don't know if I want to look into that. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I know what's going on. I got my shots. I wear my mask. It's not going to change how I live my life. Doesn't matter what the government said, even when they locked us down and did all the other stuff. I still went about my business according to the business of being a good neighbor, a good father, a nice person, a good citizen, all that stuff. But like the misinformation that goes, sorry, you wanted to say something quick?
I was going to say the only thing that's really going to change how we approach this from here on is going to be if we get a variant that the number of doses that the majority of us have gotten fail to prevent against hospitalization like they're doing now. That's the only thing that's going to be relevant to whether we change our behavior, whether government changes the policy. That's going to be the only thing that's going to change anything. Because you may get a variant that is more contagious than Omicron and might blitz through and cases might go through the roof. But the only thing that's going to change policy is ultimately hospitalizations, right? And I've spoken to ICU doc, on my show on Rogers that I do once a month. Last month we had an ICU doc on from London, and he said he has yet to see a patient in his ICU who has been fully vaccinated and immune competent the entire pandemic.
So there were people with massive comorbidities, lots of different vaccines, no vaccines.
Not just comorbidities, right? Not just like obesity or hypertension. Like people with, they're on meds that are immunosuppressing them. Something else. They're on cancer treatment. Something, and they've had all their doses. But he's yet to see. Again, it's not to say that that's the case over every ICU, in Ontario or the world. But that's his experience as an ICU doctor in London, and how effective those vaccines have been against preventing disease. So that's going to be the bellwether. I saw, one of those Chinese articles about cases. My first instinct when I saw it was like Locke said, right? Like they get a few cases and they overreact, and now they're shutting down a city of 1.5 million over a few cases for the same virus we've got here that we're kind of just living our lives. And it's interesting how our approach is so different. But I read a thread and why they're getting hit so hard, and why Hong Kong especially is getting hit so hard right now, and that 2/3 of their patients over 80 are unvaccinated, and Omicron is just blitzing through these care homes in Hong Kong because they have such a high unvaccinated rate. The thing that saved our bacon is that older people in this country have stepped up, and nearly 100% of them have gotten the shots. And that's what's keeping. If we had the situation like 2/3 unvaccinated, that's basically back to the susceptibility level, during
pre-vaccine
waves, plus the contagiousness of Omicron, right? Imagine the contagiousness of Omicron And imagine, retirement home right now where literally 100% of people are vaccinated. Imagine, okay, now suddenly only a third is. Oh shit! Like, yeah, everybody's gonna get it, and everybody's gonna, a lot of people are gonna die of this. The case fatality rate in Hong Kong right now is 4%. 4% of people getting COVID right now are dying of COVID.
It's huge.
Does that mean COVID is more serious? And like, should we be freaking out? No, because we've got the same virus here and we're doing okay because vaccinations and some immunity that we're built in now, and we've got treatments available, and testing still sucks, but you can find it if you need it. But you get into a situation like Hong Kong is right now, where you have a lot of unvaccinated seniors, and it's an absolute disaster. So, yeah. So again, is that relevant to our situation here? I don't see it yet. Right? We're seeing our hospitals manage, and you're gonna see.
I think we need that backstory, though. Like, I think we needed that backstory. I needed that backstory because
I didn't know. So there's a great thread. I retweeted it early this morning.
Oh, did you?
I lose track of time because I'm up at like 2:00 in the morning with my daughter, so I lose track of what day it is today. But I think it was yesterday. But it was a great thread. A guy at the Financial Times who's done amazing work. He went through the whole thread about what's going on in Hong Kong. It was really, really interesting. So again, some reassurance there about what's going on. But yeah, again, you're going to see people still here who are going to, every case and every hospitalization they're going to see as something that we could have prevented if we taken more steps as a system. And again, there's that happy medium where we're not going to be able to live in a world here where we can ensure these protections indefinitely, right? There's just not the appetite for it. Mm-hmm. There's some who have the appetite for it, but I don't see, like, conversation that I have day to day with people, from people who've been diligent about things from day one, 2 years in, there's not that appetite to continue stringent measures indefinitely, right? So and that's somebody, yeah. I was gonna say that's not somebody. This is somebody, and you guys are the same way. I've been supportive of mask mandates since the very beginning, right? I criticized our medical officer of health here when he was dragging his feet back in April 2020, right? And I was arguing that he was dragging his feet there. Vaccine mandates, I absolutely supported. So this isn't a matter of, because there's people who've been opposing these since day one and are now saying, all these mandates were a waste the whole time because now we've loosened them. Those people who've made those arguments from the very beginning, especially when they're health professionals who've made those arguments, have largely been discredited and are now just trying to kind of drag their way back into kind of legitimate discussions, right? Whereas the majority of us have seen their opinions from day one as being those of charlatans, right? People who've discouraged people from getting vaccinated,
damaging
people who argued that lockdowns weren't effective, right? One can argue about the overall magnitude of the effect, but the fact that when we have a virus spreading, any measures you put in that minimize the interactions between person A and person B are going to have some effect on reducing viral transmission. And people who are arguing that these lockdowns cause depression and suicide, if you hear people going down that road, they've been arguing that for 2 years, and they've seen evidence, or I would hope that they've seen evidence that those aren't not actually the case, but they keep making those arguments because unfortunately that's their position, and they
got nothing.
They got
nothing, dude. That's the thing.
So again,
they'll hook on to anything that you said today, like the 4 shots. It doesn't matter. Like it didn't matter that this was a pandemic. They just need direction. Yeah,
like those people who've been opposed to measures the whole time, honestly, can no respect for those people at all. But I think we're at a point now where how do we masks on kids in schools has not caused the levels of depression that people make it out. They haven't made kids suicidal. Have they affected kids socializing with each other? Of course, right? But kids are resilient, right? But the issue becomes, how long do we test things out, right? It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
How long do we keep doing it before it may actually start having some effects and blowing up. And some would have argued that, oh, 6 months into this, we should have gotten rid of it. Well, no, we weren't at the point until very, very recently where again, Omicron being so contagious and spreading so quickly has changed the conversation about a lot of these things, right? It's made the vaccine mandates not as justifiable because when everybody's got COVID, vaccine or not, one dude in a restaurant unvaccinated, 9 people vaccinated, am I convinced that one dude is a significant problem? I would have said yes pre-Omicron. I have a much more difficult saying that post-Omicron, right? So again, these measures were justifiable through this entire process, and I've supported this entire process. We're at a little bit of a different point now, and there's going to be, there are media personalities, right? There are health professionals who've had a media platform for this whole time, which I know again, people on the anti-lockdown point to them and say, they just want this pandemic going because, they're still on CTV news and this is, they can't bear to have their faces up there. Okay. I get it. There's maybe a couple of them who are, true narcissists who kind of are in that boat who, not that they want the pandemic to keep going, but again, they keep kind of fueling this fire. But the majority of kind of health professionals who've done media stuff have been kind of, have been largely kind of tepid with their comments, and again, are kind of going in that direction. Anyone still claiming that the sky is falling and we need uber restrictions. Largely, they've been tuned out by now, I would think.
Yeah, you tune those people out like you tune the other people out on the right. I mean, that's my opinion. Like, because we got to get back into the middle somehow, right? Like, we got to get back into the middle. We got to get back at competing in life.
I know what we need to do. We need to stop worrying about feelings. I think that's been the bigger issue, is that we're sitting here making decisions based on how people go about their lives, and everyone's walking, and it's the woke culture. It's also the other side of it where, what? How do you tell Fatty that he's at more at risk, right? Oh, can we do that? Can we point out that Fatty might be more at risk? Well, you know what? We should be able to. When people are dying, and then what ends up happening is we make blanket decisions for everybody when we don't need to, right? I'm using that one example because, listen, I know I'm a drinker. If this was a thing that hit drinkers, I would have been dealing with that. And I think it would have been okay for you to step up to the podium and go, listen, this COVID's knocking off the drinkers. If you drink more than 5 beers a day, you're in shit, right? But we can't do that in the world that we live in anymore. You can't step up to a podium and go, you know what? We need to segment society here. All right. We got the old dicks up here. We got the fatties over here. We got people with diabetes over here. We got right? We can't do that. Instead, we got to make decisions for everybody. And then what does that do? That just fucks everything up.
That's a great point. Yeah.
We sit there and think about all the feelings, right? But when you got a pandemic and it's a worldwide thing, maybe we need to have a little bit more honesty about where we're at. And that has caused most of our problems, I think.
You can't categorize those people too, because everybody will go, well, listen, you're making fun of bigger people, you're making fun of sicker people, you're making fun of, you're marginalizing, but you're just trying to be honest.
Save those assholes.
I'll push back really briefly here. That age is far more of a risk factor than even obesity and
I was just using that as an example. I understand there were greater risks in I was just using that as an example.
You're saying Lochlin's ageist?
He might. I don't know.
I don't care how old you are. I don't care. Just tell me the truth.
Part of why things were kind of so blanketed is that it was difficult. Again, we knew the unvaccinated were causing hospitalizations at a much higher rate than the vaccinated people. Sorry, so why did we treat them differently during it? Again, because it would have been difficult to convince the majority of health professionals to refuse care to the unvaccinated, even if it was hospital directives. So we had issues where hospital capacity was threatened during each of our waves so far, and unfortunately, the most effective and quickest measure to get to get viral spread to decrease in an instant was to put these measures in place. And again, a lot of them have been not necessarily as grounded in evidence as others. And certainly we want to, would have been nice for the government to, kind of pivot in certain ways. A lot of the kind of sledgehammer approaches were the same ones that were used early on, but they knew what would work, and it was implemented each time. The tricky part is that you have people, that great Barrington Declaration that keeps rearing its head with the idea of focused protection. If we'd only focused our efforts on protecting the oldest and the most high risk, then everyone else could have lived their lives. And time again, we've proven why that's not the case, because there was no way of keeping seniors and high risk people safe, because there's so much integration with the community. That people work in nursing homes who live their lives at home and have kids, right? So the idea that even through rapid testing, which has, we know now, false negatives, there was no way of keeping COVID raging in the community and then keeping nursing homes and retirement homes completely fine.
There's too many questions.
No way of doing that.
I understand that, and I guess that pokes holes in my my suggestion that you should segment the society and just and haul them out and call it like it is. But I still don't think you change the directives. I think you have to be very clear about the people that are at risk the most. Listen, we're going to mandate masks. We're going to give you an opportunity to get vaccinated. Now, let's have a real, serious, truthful conversation about the people in the society that are at risk the most here. As this thing progresses, we need you to know that if you're over the age of whatever, this is probably going to kill
I don't
you.
know that they knew any of that stuff, Locke. Like, so much changed over the 2 years. We started with the washing of the hands and the groceries and stuff, and then we found out, hey, fuck, it's airborne, forget about it. Like, everything changed so much. Maybe it's obesity, maybe it's this. So that kind of, like, there are so many questions, as Doc was saying. It's like, you mandate it because you don't know, right? So you got to throw a big blanket over the top of it and hope everybody is cool with it. Turns out everybody wasn't. I want to get to one thing before we let you go, though, Doc, and I know I really appreciate you spending so much time with us. Dr. Mario Elia is our guest at Super Mario Elia. On Twitter is where you can find him. He does a Facebook, a monthly Facebook, right, with Rogers, or your Facebook Live, and you do a show with Rogers as well.
Yeah. A monthly kind of half an hour show with Rogers where I bring on specialists. Just did one last week on advanced care planning. So basically,
okay.
Whatever med school classmate of mine I want to drag onto the program has become a specialist. We do that.
Yeah, that's what we do here too. Whatever old radio guys are around, we just do a show. It's the best. But I want to ask you about something, because not only do you take time to educate, but you sift through this stuff. There's some reports going around about COVID penis, and Locke is very worried. And while we're here, I got to ask you about it. A new study: COVID infects penis, testicles, prostate. We have no idea where we'd find it there, says a scientist who led the study. COVID, like Ebola, Zika, for infecting male sexual organs, tens of millions of men potentially infected. Clear something up for is this a real thing? Because Locke is scared to death, and a huge reason why he's going to be 5 times vaccinated and wear a mask for the next 3 years. He really has been great about protecting his genitalia.
I can you go back to those images? Those were
sure you go. Yeah, it's like smoker's lung but testicles.
Yeah.
That one looks like Grimace.
I was gonna say L looks like a you took the testicle and basically just took some glitter and just had a pretty wild rave rolling around. Nothing worse than
I'm gonna get all this.
Worry.
I'm gonna have the glitter balls. I know it.
COVID COVID penis is not something that I would lose any sleep or semen over. Now, so don't worry about that. But it raises an interesting question about, like, even long COVID, right? Because one of the arguments as to why we would need to keep taking things seriously now, that even if we're triple vaccinated, and we get COVID, there's still that kind of risk of long COVID. And do we still take precautions because we don't want to, we don't want to carry that risk? And I think that's one of the arguments potentially for, if you're at if you can do reasonable things through your day-to-day that reduce your risk of catching a virus, go for it, right? Same way you want to wash your hands before. If you want to keep wearing a mask to avoid COVID, because I do have patients who are fully vaccinated who've gotten COVID who have lingering symptoms, and perfectly healthy people who are fit as anything. And now 3 months later, after I have one patient in particular, 3 months in, she's still got shortness of breath and fatigue, and she was a distance runner, and she's not back at work teaching, and that's COVID and someone who's fully vaccinated still, right? That's the reality of it. But again, everyone needs to make their own calculations at this point as to what are they willing to do to prevent themselves from catching a virus, given that risk of potentially long COVID. And I don't think the answer is ongoing restrictions like we've done so far to minimize that risk of long COVID, because that risk of long COVID is potentially always going to be there. The same way that we've had other viruses in the past that have caused chronic fatigue syndrome and myalgic encephalitis. That's always been there, and it's always been a mystery as to how to prevent those things. But the idea of closing schools and having other restrictions in place indefinitely to prevent that, I don't know if the appetite's there. I don't know.
That's a great point.
I don't know. Again,
I don't know that it is either.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was going to say, will I wear a mask to the supermarket for the next little bit to prevent getting COVID and reducing my risk of getting long COVID? Sure, that's a reasonable thing I can do. If I'm going to the Knights game here in town, I'm wearing a mask. Yep. If I'm eating, I'm going to take it off, but I'm not going to leave it off the whole game because, again, I don't want to take that risk right now. But again, everyone's going to have their own path over that. The thing that people need to keep in mind, though, is that, again, I say that tweet last week, Dean, about that woman who basically looked at her options as staying home or going out and dying, right? Yeah. And that's what the mask mandates being lifted have condemned her to. And I would say that, okay, well, we're not there, right? So being triple vaccinated, your risk of death is extremely low. And your long COVID risk is still there, and again, we all need to make our own decisions there. But we need to get away from the sky is falling. We're gonna die if these mask mandates are lifted, because that's not the case. And again, this is coming from me, right? I've been 100% supportive of everything up till now, but again, we're a little bit of a recalculation here with our kind of coming out of Omicron a little bit.
Yeah, you need to change your belief system. That's what I think is going to be hard for some people, right? Is changing your belief, because we were trained, some of us were trained to believe that death was outside all the time waiting. So that'll be tough. But I fucking love the fact that you took an hour to sit here and go, hey, everybody, here are the issues. Here's what we're talking about. Here's the reality of the situation, is that if you've done your due diligence, and if you're all vaxxed up, and if you continue to wear a mask, those will give you your best options to be healthy and successful in navigating this whole thing, where you can be empathetic and you can put the shit to the side and you can just get on with your life, because you're not going to, experience there's very few chances that you're going to experience very serious side effects and die. So it's time to get on with life. And I would agree with that, but I've got my eye on China right now, and I'm like, oh fuck, I hope this doesn't come
for sure. Again, there's always there's always possibility of this changing. Yeah. Right. I'm right now, again, in my discussions with patients, pushing them more again towards doing more. Right. If it's people who
get out,
are fully vaccinated, who want to get together with friends, who've been kind of COVID cautious up till now, go for it.
Have fun.
Because if you're not doing it now, what the heck are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Are we waiting for more vaccines? Are we waiting for rates to come down?
Well, I think people just think that there's going to be a light switch that goes off where COVID's over and you can go outside. It ain't like that. We're going to be doing this forever, so you got to do your thing. Yeah. Right, exactly. Brother, thank you.
See you guys.
I really appreciate you being here, dude. Thank you very, very much. It's awesome that you took time with us, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
You bet. You too. Dr. Mario Elia. family physician from London, Ontario. See, that's the kind of stuff that you listen to and you're like, maybe we're freaking out a little
He
bit
didn't
too
make
much.
me feel better about the COVID dick shit, right?
Dude, you're going to be fine. You get like 3 shots. We're talking about people that the COVID dick is for people that
You
don't
don't
have
understand
vaccines.
how my life works. I've tried to explain this to you, and I think you think I'm kidding, but it's. Where did you go now?
I'm
Why
right
did
here.
you-
I'm listening. I'm
Okay,
listening. 'Cause
I'm telling you
were-
right now that
Yeah.
if I get this, I'm getting all the dick stuff, not just one dick thing. I'm getting it all. I'll be taking 9 pills just for my dick. That's what happens to
It'll
Loc'r.
it'll make you impotent.
Yeah, that's why it's why I've been as cautious as I have. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And
Oh,
you know what?
yeah,
It's funny because some
maybe
people
that
thought I was
builds, my
joking.
hair will grow back.
I was joking. You thought I was joking when I'm like, Doc, can we just tell Locke about the dick stuff so we can settle him down? And he's like, yeah, no, your dick's fine. If your testicles are fine, your penis is fine.
I'm going to
If
be
you-
looking in the dark now to see if my balls are sparkly. That's after that last one.
Dude, it's just a superimposed
Watch, I'm
image.
going to have sparkle balls.
Look at those
My
balls.
balls are going to look like
No, dude, it is just for people that are not vaccinated at all. If you don't get vaccinated, the chance of you getting COVID penis are like through the roof as opposed to being vaccinated, which was like why I asked him. I'm like, tell Locke, because you've got so many vaccines in you, you're fine. You're probably going to get a 4th. You might get a 5th. There's no way. Dude, you drink 15 beers a day and you look like and you do yoga for like 20 minutes in the morning and you're fine. There's nothing wrong. You got better circulation than anybody else. It's probably why you can still get rod. Dude, I'm being serious.
Okay.
You're going to be fine. Settle down. You can probably start getting back to your life too. But I'm with you. I'm going to be wearing a mask.
I've been safe, but I did actually do something socially this weekend for the first time in a long time. I went out and we went curling. We went up. Well, you saw that picture. I showed you a picture. We were out at Seba Beach, which is just outside of town. Saw that Trump thing, and then we went and curled. And have you ever curled?
Yeah, I have, and I found it incredibly easy.
Okay. Really? Okay. Then you and I
little balance issue, but it's like it's basically shuffleboard with bigger rocks. Like and I didn't find it hard to like throw a stone. I learned in-turns and out-turns real quick. Pretty easy game. I could probably compete for Canada in some capacity at some point, and I've done it like 5 times.
You're a very athletic person. We've talked about golf, and you're a really good golfer, and you don't golf very much either. Like I see with me, I have to work at a sport to be good at it, and I will never look good at it. I might be able to actually do it, but I will, like when I run, people giggle. I can hear people laughing. Like when I play ball, I can hear people on the bench laughing. Like, look at that fucking guy. Like, does he need a helmet? Like, get him a blue helmet real quick. So I got called out to go curling, and I only curl once a year, right? And I'm on kind of my wife's like spare list, and she curls regularly, and she curls with these in this women's league. And one of the women she curls with wanted to do this fun spiel, and she asked me, she goes, "You should come out." And I went, "Okay, well, I'll come out." And I always forget every year, and I don't know why I forget how much I hate curling, but I always agree to it. And I think it's because there's always that possibility you can drink through it, right? Because you can drink while you curl.
Dude, and it's one of the only sports where it's encouraged. It's part of the sport.
Yes, and that is actually part of my point here. So I went out, and after the first couple of rocks are thrown, and I'm sweeping like an asshole, I'm like, why am I here? I hate this. I hate curling, and I keep getting talked into it, and I keep forgetting that I hate curling. And here's the other problem that I have with curling is you will never fucking convince me that sweeping a rock on ice with a broom with a rag attached to the end of it is gonna fucking do anything to that rock. So I finally figured it out this weekend. It's taken me 50 years to figure out. Okay, if you actually break down curlers as a whole, put them all in one big room, okay, 75% of them are alcoholics. 20% of them are recovering alcoholics. and 5% don't know yet. So what did they do? Back in the day, they went, all right, listen, if we don't provide something for the two people just standing there, because you get the skip at the end, and then you got the guy throwing a rock. If we don't give them, those two assholes, something to do, they're just going to keep drinking. So they provided this thing called sweeping to keep people from drinking too much on the ice. And it finally dawned on me that that's what this is. All I'm doing is I'm sweeping a rock so that I don't drink constantly all day. And I'm not wrong. Here's more proof. Who's the biggest drunk on the ice?
The curler.
The skip.
The skip.
The
Yeah.
skip is always the biggest alcoholic.
Do you remember
Every
it was
time
like
I've ever
5-6 years ago? Do you remember those guys that it was a Team Canada thing, and I don't know if it was like they went to the Brier, the World Championships, and they got like super wasted before one of the games. It was like Team Canada got so fucking wasted before the actual curling match, and they like destroyed the change room and stuff, and it was all the skip's fault. And they're like, sorry, we drink a lot. That's what curling is. That's what that is. It's legitimately an Olympic sport that is like founded and created just for people to get drunk at.
Dean.
Yeah.
What does the skip not do?
The skip does not
He doesn't sweep.
No, he's standing at the end and he's telling
That's why he's always slaughtered.
Rocks. Yeah,
the skip's
fucking
usually
wasted.
the one. Yeah, every time I've seen someone fall, it's always the skip.
Yeah. Wasted.
Smokes his head. Yeah, drunk. Always the biggest drunk, right? Anyway, I got through the weekend. I woke up Sunday morning after curling, and not only that, get this. So we played 3 games, and I destroyed our ability to actually win. It was all me.
Are you that dude that was like so wasted when you were curling with your wife's team? They bring a spare. They're like, "Why'd you bring them? Were you that wasted?"
No.
Like, was your wife embarrassed by you at the end of it?
No,
Was
our
she like,
skip
"Lock,
was
when I
way
risk-"
drunker than me. He was drinking rusty nails out of a flask all day. He was shit faced by the time noon rolled around by.
Yeah, that's
we played 3 games, okay? And if we had won our 3rd game, we would have had to have played 2 more. And I woke up Sunday morning and I felt like I had been in a car accident.
Hungover.
No, from sweeping. It's deadly on your body. Like, dude, I honestly feel like
all you're doing is this. That's it. And then you got to go like that, like twice every end, and that's it. That's all. This is not a lot of
When's
work.
the last time you curled?
When I was like 24, maybe 23.
Okay, yeah, you have no idea. You're in your 40s now.
Looks easy.
You're chucking stones to 50. You have no idea. You getting in and out of the hack is awful. Like, it's a horrible sport.
Did you, when you were curling at any point, see, this is what I'm worried about, is like, I'm going to go do something like that, and I'm going to really notice my 49 years. Like, do you notice you're 52 when you get in the hack and you get ready to throw that rock? Yep. Did you wipe out? Did you hurt yourself at any point?
I didn't wipe out at any point. I mean, I've got pretty good balance, but it was like I was in a lot of pain, right? Mm-hmm. The whole day, like all day Saturday. And the whole time I was just miserable, right?
Why'd you do it?
Because I forgot. I forget how much I hate it. And then it's always
just
like
the very idea that your wife said she needed you for a spare. Like, couldn't you have just said, "Hey, listen, I love you, honey, but you don't want me there. Like, you don't want me there. I'm going to be miserable the whole time."
Be that husband, though. I'm trying to be the guy.
Well, does she want you there miserable, or does she just want to go and enjoy herself? Did she have a good time curling with you? Was she happy you came, or at some point did she go?
No, I ruined the whole day. Yeah, I ruined it and we're probably never gonna ever see this other couple again either.
What happened? What'd you
do? I just bitched, and then the skip was like, "I don't know what you're whining about." I'm like, "Well, you're fucking drunk and you don't sweep." No wonder you think this is a great sport. All you do is just throw 2 fucking rocks and you stand there with your thumb up your ass drinking fucking rusty nails.
You agreed to go curling with your wife because you thought it'd be a nice thing to do, and when you went there, you were a purposeful asshole the whole time because you were miserable. Is that what I'm understanding?
I was mad about curling. I wasn't purposefully. I had a reason to be a dick.
Oh my God. So you are one of the most interesting fucked individuals I've ever met in your life. Like yesterday, and last week, you raged. Like I saw legitimate rage in your mouth and in your face and in your eyes about bike lanes. Like it was fucking unbelievable. Like the things that you choose to take umbrage with might be some of the funniest shit in the world. Like the idea that you went curling with your wife, even though you hate it, the fact that she asked you is unbelievable. Like, yeah, I'm so far past that whole idea. Like, listen, if you're gonna go and you're gonna be miserable, don't go, right? And you were miserable when you went. But here's a question for you: if there was no booze, would you have gone?
No.
Okay, there you go.
I get plied with alcohol. Well, not only that, it's a green light to drink during the day, and I am a big fan of day drinking, right? Normally, I'm trying to keep myself from drinking until at least,
So she knew there was a trade-off. So she plied you with alcohol too. Like your wife was like, I think I want to take another shot at going out in public with my husband to a drinking event. I want to see what happens. Yeah. And she knew to get you there, she would have to give you booze, right? She knew it.
Well, it goes without saying that if you're going to be curling, you're going to be drinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a rule, right? So I was in, and that's the mistake I made, is that I always go, hey, that's a sport I can do, and I can drink. And then I get there, and then I realize I don't like this.
Speaking of that's why you get so wasted and ruin it for people. You spent like 2 days being angry, but you got to drink, so you were okay with it. That's fucking awesome. Do you not know how that's like a life hack? You want me to go? I'm going to have to be drunk, honey. Are you going to be an asshole? Probably, but I will be able to drink. And she's like, all right, we need a fourth. Right, let's go. Come on, hop in the car. Let's go.
She gets so mad too, because I'm actually half decent at it. So, and I curl once a year.
And you hate it for every waking moment that you're there. Why are you subjecting yourself to it? I don't understand that.
The other team found me very funny. My own team didn't, but
yeah.
Because I'm yelling at my wife because we had to sweep her fucking rocks from the moment they left her hand. And I'm like, you're trying to kill me, aren't you? And I'm yelling at her while I'm sweeping. You're trying to kill me. You're fucking trying to give me a stroke.
Oh, you were having fun. You were having fun too, right? I love watching people have fun. Like I watched this video the other day of your premiere.
Dancing, always a strong move.
Can I play it for you? Speaking of wasted, this guy has to have a drinking problem. Like he has to.
Tell me this is the one where he's got a cowboy hat on. I think it was at the Stampede. Is it?
No.
Okay.
Not that one. This is Jason Kenney doing some karaoke. Like this is a premier of the province. I don't know for how long because he's going to lose his gig. But this guy looks like the most uncomfortable fucking sausage I've ever seen in my life. Like legitimately ever. Watch this.
But through it all, when there was doubt, I hid it out, faced it out, I faced it all, and I stood tall, and did it all.
Okay, I want people to listen. I don't want to admit that I was looking at something, but I want you to play it again, and I want everybody who's watching this to take a look at his pants selection.
Okay, here we go.
Take a look at the.
All right, let's watch.
But through it all, when there was doubt, I hid it out.
Those are really
nice. Look at his. They're so fucking tight. It's like he's an old lady trying to fit into an old pair of pants. You know where the ladies show up to the grocery store and you're like, yeah, those didn't fit last year and they're really getting a fucking workover this year. That's him. And he's also wearing a tight sweater. So he's not in great shape. We do know that. But is he always worn?
Got the moose knuckle on full display here.
I faced it all. And I stood tall and did it my way.
You know what? There's another video of him dancing.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of videos of him dancing, and
There's
if
one of
you-
him dancing with John Tory that might be the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my
That's
life.
the one I get. That we use that all the time. People use it as gifs all the time, gifs or whatever the hell you call them.
I think it's GIF. I don't think it's
Yeah.
GIF.
Yeah.
GIF.
He's got a radio show starting.
I heard it sucked.
Oh, was it? Was
yeah,
it this past weekend?
It happened this last weekend. Is it someone actually like legitimately live tweeted his radio show, and I'm like, holy fuck, people want to know what this guy does. But yeah, QR77 is a radio station in Calgary. Jason Kenney was given like an hour slot or 2 hour slot to answer questions and talk to people. It's a phone in, and someone itemized it, and he dodged every question and blamed everybody else. But here's the fucking best part: is the government is paying the radio station for it. Seriously. The conservative
like
government, yeah, they're paying for the time. They bought time on that radio station, and that radio station owned by Chorus is more than willing. Apparently now it's 2022, right? Money matters. Let's go. Put a noted homophobe on the radio. That's all I see. And it was a terrible show too. I didn't hear about it. I just read the actual transcript, and the lady who did it was a reporter in Calgary or Edmonton. I can't remember. And at the end of it, she's like, "I need a drink." Like. She said it was so fucking bad, like just an absolute grease job on behalf of the radio station. Total grease job on him too.
It ran on the Chorus station here in town, and our boss actually ran numbers. And our best of show runs on the weekends, and we were number one on the weekend. So, and he tweeted that out, my PD. So we beat his live call-in show
with an old best of
with some best of stuff. What we do is we take our best of from the week, and we put it in on the weekends.
Clever. No other radio station does that to save on jocks on the weekend. Not one.
And
no one does that.
That radio magic beat old Kenny.
Out of date, out of time, out of context. Way better than an hour with Jason Kenney on Q77. He fucking likes to sing, though. We got a better shot of the gunt here.
Yeah, he's really putting a lot of pressure on the crotch area with those jeans.
I had this conversation with a friend of mine on the phone the other night, and I'm like, why do guys wear like ill-fitting clothes? Because when you look at Kenny and you look at that picture of him in his pants, like you know what camel toe is, right? You mentioned it. It's the moose knuckle. It's where the
camel
seam
toe is the female.
Works for guys too. Too.
It's called a moose knuckle.
Yeah, it's where the jean seam gets into the private area. Sometimes with girls, it's the labia majora. With men, it's testicle, maybe a wiener on the other side, but same thing. Yeah. I don't think we even have that going here. I don't even think Kenny's got that going. Like I zoomed in on his pants.
He might be wearing a diaper.
I think that's all gunt. I do.
Is it? Okay.
I do. I think that's like that's that area of the body that a lot of people over time, kind of makes its way down towards the penile region. Mm-hmm. And a lot of men will treat that gunt area as if it is, socks or something to stuff in there. So your stuff looks more. And I think that's what we have here.
I think we
have him doing a magic trick with his fat, trying to turn it into some nuts and a wiener. That's what I think.
I've been lucky. I've got a pretty decent metabolism, even for somebody that is 50, and I've never had to worry about that. So I consider myself very lucky. I do a little bit of exercise on a daily basis as well to combat that.
I don't think Kenny exercises.
I'm not sure he's an exerciser.
I don't think he does.
No.
And he was super fat when I became a Canadian. Like he was the member of parliament that was there. I think he was the foreign minister or something like that at the time. I can't remember what he was. Immigration guy. I can't remember. He was wearing a weird suit. And I'm like, holy, this guy's huge. And then I saw him like 2 years later, and he was running for politics in Alberta, running around. I'm like, oh, guy's lost a lot of weight. He's clearly stopped carrying.
You had to take the Canadian citizenship test?
Yeah.
When did you get here?
1974.
And so
Born in
you were
73.
born in the UK, and you kept do you have a dual passport?
I do. Yeah, I'm both.
And
I'm
you've
bi.
kept it.
Yep, I got a
Good
red
for you.
passport and a
Keep it.
Canada passport.
That's a strong move.
Dude, you can go anywhere in Europe with that passport. Zip, 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 zip.
Yeah.
Anywhere you want.
Good for you.
Thank you very much.
I did not know that. So how
Mhm.
old were you when you took the Canadian citizenship test?
I was 34, 35, I would say.
Oh,
34,
wow.
35.
You
I'll
have
explain
no
it, and then
sign of an accent.
No, my folks do, though. My mom and dad do. But I'll tell you the story. So I was a real big fan of John Tory back in the day. John's a good friend of mine. He's the was. I don't talk to him anymore.
John Tory is a
I don't know
conservative.
Well, no, he is conservative, but he's an honest cat. I really like him.
He's the mayor of Toronto.
Mayor of Toronto. Yeah, good dude. So we used to have him on the show from time to time. And he's like, I said, I'm not Canadian. I can't vote for you. He goes, well, change that. I'll sponsor you, do whatever it needs to do, and we'll get you to become Canadian. Come vote for me. That'd be great. I'm like, fuck, sure. Because he was like the PC candidate for premier in this province, and he lost miserably. Like miserably. He just couldn't get any traction, blah, 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 blah. But true to my word, I said I'd become Canadian, so I applied to do the thing, and then you give you a thing, and it's like, you got a test you got to write, right? So you're supposed to show up to this room in Scarborough, and a bunch of people that want to become Canadians, you got to write a citizenship test. Well, I was schooled in Canada, and I know everything about Canadian, well, not everything, but enough about Canadian politics and Canadiana when you look at a question on your things like, is Don Cherry the prime minister, or is Stephen Harper? You're like, I got that one, no problem, it's Don Cherry.
That was one of the questions.
That was legitimately one of the questions. Yeah. But two things. So I was talking about becoming Canadian because I was really proud of it. And I was like 35 and I was going to go get my citizenship and yay. And I got a shirt made for it. And I just had it screened on nice black shirt because I like black shirts. It said, I shaved my balls for this.
Okay.
Right? Because when I got a call back that I'd got 100% on my citizenship exam, they're like, would you like to get take your oath of citizenship like 6 months early down at CP24, the television station? Because they did this big Canadian Canada Day swearing in of citizens, and they bring people in. If you wanted to jump the queue, you could go and be on TV. Some people said no. I'm like, yeah, fuck, if it's faster. So I decided I was going to get the shirt made for the ceremony that just said, I shaved my balls for this. Well, I made the mistake of actually talking about it on the radio for like a couple of days because I thought this is going to be a little fun bit. I got a shirt. I shaved my balls for this because I really was excited to become a Canadian. So who doesn't want to shave their nuts for a special day? Right? Everyone does.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it. Everyone shaves their balls on special days. Got to feel good. So a couple days before the citizenship swearing-in ceremony, I get a phone call, and I was golfing, and I was on the golf course, and I answered the phone. I said, hello. This lady's like, hello, Dean Blundell. I said, yep. I understand you're going to be coming to the TV radio station. This is what she said. TV radio station for your Canada citizenship thing? I said, yes. That's supposed to be tomorrow. She goes, yeah. You cannot come here with the shirt that you said you were going to wear. I go, who is this? She goes, it's Government of Canada Immigration. You cannot come to that place with that shirt. That's disrespectful. And I go, what shirt was that? She goes, hang on. It says you were going to wear a shirt that says, quote, you shave your balls for this.
You didn't have that recorded, did you?
No, I didn't have it recorded.
God, that would have been awesome.
So I said, excuse me? And I put her on speakerphone because everybody else wanted to hear. She goes, you cannot wear a shirt that says you want to shave your balls for this on television.
She was
and
French.
I said, no problem. I don't think she was French. So the next day, I show up. Indeed, I'm wearing my shirt because I shaved my balls for this, and it's underneath a golf shirt because I was getting ready to go golf the next day. And I park my car, and I walk up to the front towards the CP24, and like 4 guys stop me, and they're like, hey, can we talk to you first? I go, yeah. So one of them is like the general manager of the place. He's like, listen, you're creating quite a stir here for the citizenship ceremony. We're happy to let you in. Please tell me you're not going to like pull that shirt off and wear the other shirt underneath. Do you have the other shirt on? I go, no, I did.
No way.
So he goes, can we just check your other shirt? And I go, no, I got it on. I'm lying. I do have it on. I said, but I swear I won't take it off. I swear I won't show people this awesome shirt. So we go through the thing, and I sit down, and everybody's staring at me. I got a security guy really right behind me, and someone leans in my ear. I still don't know who it was to this day. It's like, please don't screw this up for all these beautiful people. And I'm like, no problem. I got it. I got you. So I didn't do it. But when it was my turn to go up and shake Jason Kenney's hand, I went and shook his hand. I didn't know who he was. He was sweating like a fucking stuck pig. It's like he just finished running a marathon, just sweat pouring off his face. I go, hey, man. He goes, congratulations. I go, I shaved my nuts for this. And then I just made my way through. And all I looked back at Jason Kenney, he was like this. So that's my story about becoming Canadian and my one experience with Jason Kenney.
I haven't heard that story yet.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot
story.
of Dean Blundell stories. I have not heard that story. Yeah.
Hello, Dean.
That's funny.
Yes. You cannot wear a shirt that says you shaved your balls for this on TV. All right.
But why?
It's just in me. Why can't I? Or why did I
don't
want
understand why they wouldn't allow you.
Well, it's televised, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're standing next to this lovely Cambodian lady and this family from Kenya, and they're so happy to be in Canada. And I'm like, I'm happy too. So happy, in fact. I shaved my balls for this.
Were you drinking at the time?
Oh, yeah, heavily.
Heavily? Were you drunk when you showed up?
No. Hungover, though. I remember that for sure. Because I golfed the day before, and I got absolutely fucking shit-canned. I had to take a cab home. My ex-wife's like, don't you have a citizenship thing in the morning? I'm like, it's all squared away. Don't worry about it. She goes, you wearing that shirt? I'm like, well, it's a game time decision. I'm an imperfect man. That's all I said.
Oh my God. That's the problem, is you actually had people listening to your show. See, I can get away with shit like that because nobody of importance listens. I would have been able to show up with that shirt on. No one would have had a fucking clue who I was.
What? Oh, I didn't know he was going to do that. Yeah, it was tough. Anyway, thanks for doing this. We've been waiting for Alex Dayrabekov to do the show, and I'm a little concerned. He's supposed to be here about 30 minutes ago. So he is not.
I wish you hadn't have told me that.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm going to send him a note, and we're going to wrap it up, and we're not going to worry too much about our friend Alex, who was supposed to call in for the show live in Ukraine.
Alex,
about
see what his last tweet was.
Yeah, I'm just sending him a text, actually. I sent him a couple, but he's not responding. So we're going to be cool about it and check in on Alex.
Yeah, we're going to be cool.
We're not going to get too concerned, but this was the last 25 minutes of this was us wasting time. Not bad, huh? That's why radio people are such good liars, because we can legitimately make this shit up on the fly. Yeah, we're excellent at it. But anyway, we'll let you go. And I want to thank everybody for being here. And if you think about it, prayers up for Alex and his family. We're going to try and figure out if they're okay.
Have you heard from Anthony lately?
I have, yeah. Anthony's okay.
He's
he was
doing okay?
He's okay. Yeah, Anthony's all right.
I think they've moved some of that Foreign Legion into Kiev. Kiev. How do you say it?
Kiev.
They've moved some of them, because I heard one of them on an interview, one of the squadron leaders, and he's an American, and he ended up he's got like 4 leaders with him, and he's a squadron leader, and then they got guys underneath him, and that's how they're sort of creating like the environment or whatever, right? The structure, and he was in Kiev. Yeah. And they're helping out already. So Anthony could be already moving in, right?
In the city. It's hard to describe. Like, Alex was going to be here. I'll play some of these videos. He sent this to me today. This was like a 2-minute video of them literally driving just outside of the city where they're living. Cherkasy, I think, is where he said he doesn't care that people know that he's in Cherkasy. But this is where he's living. Like, watch this video. This is really, really wild. And this is one of those videos that kind of makes you go, oh my God, what is happening over? Like, we know it's bad. But no, this is not a bad video. This is a good video. It's sad because you know that this is like, it'd be like seeing this if you took a left turn out of your driveway and you just started driving and you saw all this carnage. But like, this is literally what's happening. Just outside of where Alex is currently residing. These are videos that are circulating around social media, but if you have a look at this, Alex sent this to us, and this is a convoy of Russian vehicles that is legitimately fucked, like absolutely fucked over, and it goes forever. So when Alex sent this to me, he sent it to me. He's like, it's 2.5 minutes long. It's hard to believe. But our troops are warriors, and this is what he's showing me. This is what you're seeing outside of almost every town that's been bombarded is the Ukrainian people literally fighting back. Look at how long this convoy of death goes. It doesn't end.
They're fighting back big time, and they still have not really taken control of any major cities in Ukraine as well. They've got Kyiv completely surrounded. That was the latest I heard, and they are bombing the shit out of all the residential areas, like all these. You see those big apartment buildings that are always on fire.
Yeah,
they've escalated that. So I hope Alex is safe.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, if you hear from him at any point, I don't care what time it is, can you just send me a note? I've been thinking a lot about him.
Yeah, of course I will. I talk to him almost every day, so he's in good spirits. I think he's getting tired, like most of the people in Ukraine are, but he takes time every day to make sure that we have this kind of stuff. Look at how fucking long this is. Like 2.5 minutes of like legitimately burnt out Russian convoy troops, cars, like dead bodies. You can see there were crows on the side of the road. And by the way, if you're just listening to this on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, etc. You can watch this kind of stuff on YouTube with us, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. But that was the stuff like that.
I've been rebroadcasting our podcasts on the Locker Room YouTube as well. So if you've already subscribed to that, we're punching it out on that as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people
I hope he's
watch these on Twitter and with us too, eh? Like all of us, anytime we're on Twitter and Facebook, and so you can watch the video, right? Yeah.
Did you see Zelinski? I'll save the other videos for if and when Alex comes. I don't feel like I should play them until he's here. But did you see Zelinski's speech in Parliament today?
I did. I caught most of it. I made the mistake of turning it on when Justin Trudeau was speaking, and then I just got mad, and then I muted it. But then when he came on, I was paying attention. He's desperately pleading for the because of the bombing. He wants the airspace shut down, right?
Yeah.
No, he wants a no-fly zone, but that would just escalate this. I think most people around the world realize that is a big ask, and I think he knows it's a big ask. But if we end up giving him that, then our NATO pilots would have to shoot down any Russians that flew into the airspace, and then that's essentially World War III.
Yeah.
Right.
There's so much going on here.
I'm very torn on that.
Yeah, I am too, because I would like to see it. But let me play this. This is a clip from Zelinski's speech to Parliament today. I want to play this for you. It's pretty moving shit. It was incredible, actually. I loved it. This is Vladimir Zelinski just about 2-3 hours ago.
Imagine that on 4 a.m., each of you start hearing bomb explosions, severe explosion. Justin, can you imagine hearing your children hear all these severe explosions, bombing of airport, bombing of Ottawa airport, tens of other cities of your wonderful country. Can you imagine that? Cruise missiles are falling down on your terrain, and your children asking you what happened, and you are receiving the first news which infrastructure objects have been bombed and destroyed by Russian Federation. And you know how many people already died. Can you only imagine what words, how can you explain to your children that you just full-scale aggression just happened in your country?
I love how and if you watched it, what he did was he related back everything they're going through to, imagine, Justin, this happens to you. You're sleeping at night and a cruise missile hammers your neighbor's house. Imagine, Justin, or Canadian members of Parliament, that your child doesn't come home after an explosion outside their school. Stuff like that. It was so highly relational that it moved a lot of people. Like, it moved me. I was sitting in that chair. I'm like, exactly. This is exactly it. Like, I mean, if you take what has happened and what has happened into those people in that country, you can transfer it to here. We don't understand it, but that is what he was trying to get over to people, which
He's
is
trying
like,
to put us in
this is-
Ukraine.
right. And he
Right.
wants us to feel this, right? And it was, I heard it explained today, and I thought it was a great way to explain. It's like a bank shot for the U.S., who is very seriously considering a no-fly zone at this point, along with Canada. I found that out today, which was fucking fascinating. Linz joins us. He's a little late to the program because he's got a real job and he's a good dude. So that I think is happening today. I think that's one of those things that's happening. But during the speech itself, did you guys see what Russia did?
Everybody gets a sanction.
Right? Everybody. They banned, Putin announced during Zelinski's speech that like 20 Canadians would never be allowed to set foot in Russia again, from Justin Trudeau to Melanie Joly to Anita Anand to a couple, like even dude, like the guy from the what do you call it, the Bloc Québécois. He found out. Look, this is video. This is fucking hilarious. They're like, "Hey, by the way, you're on the banned from Russia list." This was his reaction to it. It's fuck.
On the list? Oh, okay. Thank you. Let me.
It's like, fuck, whatever. Thanks. Like, I'm gonna go. Think about what Justin will never be able to do if he gets banned from Russia. The coffee shops look like a lot of fun. The shopping is actually sensational. You can shop anywhere. And how about the architecture? The architecture that everybody's going to miss out
like
on.
Moscow, Yorkville, isn't it? Right there. Gorgeous.
And again, more shopping. I mean, if I got banned magically, if they said, Dean, you talk enough shit about Russia, we're banning you from it too. It's like being banned from being jettisoned into outer space. It's like someone saying, they're never going to murder you in front of your family.
Yeah. You know what? The sad thing is that these sanctions and this leader in Russia is setting back that country 50 years.
Oh,
they're already one of the poorest countries in the world. The separation from the wealthiest and the poorest is the highest of any other country in the world, and he's committing atrocities in a country, and he's somehow justified it, and he's also dictating the rules. He's creating the playbook, which drives me crazy. Right, like
how he's threatening everybody with nuclear war, even though he'd never do it, and saying if anybody comes into Ukraine that isn't an ally of ours, we're going to fight. It's World War III. I'm going to whoop some ass, and everybody's like, "Ooh, he might mean it." Like, that's dictating the process, right?
Yeah, and he's controlling how we're deciding to respond to this. And he, like I said, he's writing the playbook for the for the Western world. And,
yeah.
I think it's sad that a country is at his mercy, not just from bombs, but at his mercy from how the rest of the world responds to it. And I think we've done a pretty decent job. I don't know what the answer is, and I'm glad I don't need to make decisions like this. But I think we've done a pretty decent job of making it painful. And the more pain that we can inflict on them, the better, in my mind, right? And unfortunately, that means that an entire population, like over 100 million people, are going to suffer because of one guy's dick size. Like that's what this boils down to. It's fucking sad.
Yeah, it is.
It probably doesn't work either.
No. What were we going to say, Lindsay? You're going to pipe in?
No, just so you guys know, just to give you a bit of relief, hopefully, Ukraine doesn't go into daylight savings time until next week. So this may actually be just a miscommunication on timing. That's what kind of I'm hoping and basing my hope and such on, but I'm not sure if you brought it
with
up.
Alex not being
yeah.
Oh, so he might be here at 5 o'clock, is what you're saying.
You never know, right? So
yeah.
I don't know if that's the case.
Well, let's get him on tomorrow.
Mix up there.
Thank you for
that.
He
can't. I'll just come back and do it again at 5 if we're not still.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm around. I can stay, and Yeah, I'd love to get an update, especially after that video that he sent in today. That's pretty close to action where he is. So it's takes your breath away.
Like I said, if he does pop in and you guys go with him, please, so one of you two just send me a quick text.
Oh yeah,
so I know he's okay. You know.
Yeah. As for sanctions and nuclear stuff, you notice that U.S. Banned OAN, while Time Warner Cable pulled OAN off of their lineup. I think they're finally getting to the point now, especially that it's been leaked, that Tucker Carlson is considered, and we make jokes about the Russian asset shit all the time, but he's actually considered a Russian asset by Vladimir Putin himself. He's part of their actual strategic plan in propaganda. That was leaked out yesterday, and every major news source is carrying that today. So I would recommend anybody going to who has just the slightest thought of the Nazi thing that didn't take off, that thinks the bioweapons thing is real, go and just follow the timeline. And we said this about the COVID thing and the vaccine disinformation. It's like they steal a car and they run it until it runs out of gas, and then they jump into another car. They just keep moving. They abandon their talking point once it dies, and then they just jump into another one and run it into the ground. And that's what happened with the Nazi thing, saying that Zelinski was a Nazi, even though I guess they didn't do a whole lot of background on the fact that he's Jewish. And now they're doing the same thing with the bioweapons labs. So I think that's why Biden is, or the administration anyway, is getting a little more tough on saying, you know what, maybe we will put that no-fly zone in.
I heard an interview, Ryan, and this is something that that I was surprised at, and it was an operative from the KGB, and somebody tweeted it to me, and I watched it. It was like an 8-minute interview, and he basically outlined the strategy, and he said less than 5% of our effort, and this is back in the 80s, okay? He said less than 5% of our effort right now is in traditional forms of espionage, in that, you know, we're going to go put somebody in to the United States, teach him to speak the language, teach him to learn the culture, and then try to get him to, you know, get assets. He said 95% of our espionage right now is misinformation. And he goes, we don't even give a flying fuck how unbelievable it is.
Yeah. No, exactly.
It doesn't make any difference. We say it because there are dumb people that are going to fucking believe it. And that's not a direct quote, but he said it always works. It always works because someone is fucking stupid enough to not only believe it, but also to pass it on to an individual. And just the idea that it's out there is we've done our jobs.
That's it. And what they bank on is the Western democracies eating themselves from the inside. And that's what this is doing.
And it's working.
And it's working. And it's more effective than blowing cover of an actual operative going in on the ground, because they realize that way is too detectable now, because they both play the game. US and Russia have been playing this game for over 50 years. And why not just have us do the dirty work for them? Put us on the internet, put us on YouTube, put us on Rumble, put us on blog sites, and give us a bit of cash to essentially do their dirty work for them. And that's exactly what's happening now.
This morning, this is all we said. We talked about politicians and how, you know, that are any of them liked anymore? Do we trust any of them? And I said, pick a politician. I just name one. And Grant goes, I don't mind that President Zelinski. And I went, oh, there we go. Okay, there's one. Yeah. Get into a song. Fucking playing AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Metallica. Text. You guys really need to do your homework. That Zelinski, he's an evil man.
Really?
I'm just like, holy shit.
You're fine.
We didn't even say anything. We didn't say nothing. We just said, hey, kind of like the guy.
Yep.
You guys really need to do your fucking homework.
You know, and that where it comes out, and I saw it today actually after the speech. So did you guys see the standing ovation Parliament gave him after? It was like 2 minutes long. It was this big standing ovation. And I watched it, like I intently watched it, and then I watched afterwards, because what you see after something like that is you're going to see like some cues, social language, body language, and you're going to be able to see who's in and who's out, right?
Mhm.
And I put this video out today because it kind of
There
shocked
can't
me.
be
And
anybody that's not in.
dude, you would think everybody is not in. There are people that didn't really clap, like Candace Bergen. Watch this video.
What?
Yeah, dude, watch
You
this
gotta be
video.
fucking kidding
No,
me.
she clapped for a couple minutes at the start, and like this is not the stuff that you go. Like, it's not an anthem at a hockey game, right? You don't go, yeah, half-ass the song. It's like dudes being fucking bombed to death, women and children are being murdered, hospitals are
Speech
being
was
blown
powerful.
up.
Literally pleading with
Yeah.
the world. Yeah.
So this is Candace Bergen and the conservative side. You'll see a few, not many, some not clapping, but it was like, it stood out to me like a sore thumb. That and the fact she was wearing no Ukraine flair. Everybody's wearing these ribbons. She's not wearing any, and she gave a very minimal approach to her public support of the words of a guy who's literally trying to fight against Russia in his hometown and has been underground for the last fucking 3 weeks. Watch this. See that? Did you see that? Did you see her right in the middle? It's hard to miss. I mean, it's just a bunch of old dudes and then a blonde in the middle, not just standing there with her arms down by her side. Well, everybody's legitimately
barking Barbie.
Like, yeah. Way to go.
What is that?
I don't know. And it's funny
come from?
because there's so many people. Well, this is
It's
the thing.
Parliament.
Well, it's Parliament, but here's the thing. This is where it manifests itself, right? We talk about people that are useful idiots. Tucker Carlson to a man. And this is what you brought up. Kremlin memos obtained by Mother Jones show Putin's government pushing Russian media to use Tucker Carlson as, quote, much as possible in its Ukraine war coverage. They include talking points that the U.S. is engaged in biogenocide in Russia. That is legitimate. Those are legitimate concerns where he has legitimately been labeled a national security risk, Tucker fucking Carlson, because he serves the theocratic right, as does this woman. The reason why, and this is just my belief system.
Explain that. Explain. I keep hearing this theocratic. I keep hearing this term, and I don't know what and I'm sorry, I'm so dumb, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
So the movement that we saw, and we'll get into it with Chris Vickery tomorrow, the movement we saw up in Ottawa was theocratic, right? When I say theocratic, I mean one thing, and one thing only, is that those people think God, and their religion is the answer to every single problem we have. And they will go to any lengths to make it look like we have these problems, which we don't. Enter Russian trolls, enter misinformation, enter AIQ, which is Aggregate IQ, a company out of Victoria that does what Cambridge Analytica did, which is basically getting voter profiles, finding out what will trigger a certain group of people, dumb, overtly religious individuals. That is who they target. It is a fact.
And Candace
Bergen loves Jesus Christ with her entire heart more than she loves her constituents of this country, because you have to be that if you are going to be a Orthodox evangelical Christian zealot. That is the fact.
You with Putin? I don't understand.
Well, it's not.
Like, how does that align you with Russian bombing the shit out of a country?
Well, because she thinks that he is legitimately deep down, according to theocratic doctrine. The Christians that send this shit around Facebook, you've heard this before. Remember the leaky tank in Sarnia?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Said Putin's only going in there to get rid of the rapists, pedophiles, and Satanists and Nazis. These people believe it. Candace Bergen's people, some of them in our government, legitimately believe that this country should be desecularized. So what happens is governments like Russia, bad actors, lobby groups, churches, disinformation actors, they will legitimately target her because she's got two things that they want. They want her interference and they want her help, right? And they can get that by saying, you know what, we're going to give you lots of information to bleed out to people so that you can bring them onto the side of theocracy, the idea that Jesus Christ and God might be the answer. So, and again, we get back into that whole theocratic carpooling bit, right, where you got the Nazis because they're like, yeah, fuck that, we're Orthodox Christians. Russian Orthodox Church, the leader of that church is like, yeah, all these guys are Russians.
The anti-Semites.
Anti-Semites, the Proud Boy, all of these groups, they all just kind of get together. So my point is this, is that she's probably, my theory is that she clapped for a bit, didn't want to look like she was overdoing it for those people who she really serves, which are church people. She's part of the thing where it's like, I don't want to wear a mask. She was the first person to stand up for the truckers when they got there, go for dinner with them, meet with the group that was being driven by misinformation for the purposes of bringing people into this theocratic existence.
Did you hear the words she was using in her speech today? Like, when you look at a crisis like this, it should be, especially for a country on the outside like us, it should be apolitical. You're looking at it all through the same lens, what's going on. And you would think it would be unity. Like, it doesn't matter. This is not partisan. We should be unified and when she gave her remarks, she kept telling President Zelinski that conservative Canadians stand behind you. Conservative Canadians are with you. Conservative Canadians want the best for you. Conservative Canadians. She didn't say Canadians. She only talked to her base, and in a conversation that wasn't directed at Canadians. It was supposed to be directed at the Ukrainian people. Mm-hmm. That's how fucked this lady is. Like, she's so fucking deep that she can't read a social cue that large to say, this isn't about me. This isn't about
here
for
it's not about the party. We're here for the country. Yeah, she couldn't do it.
She couldn't do it. She just couldn't do it.
So. Look at her not clapping. Seriously, watch her not clap. Like, how do you fucking not listen to a dude that's in a war-torn country give a speech to every single sitting member of parliament? This fucking loser.
We know for sure she wasn't wearing the Ukraine pin.
Yeah,
there's pictures of it.
Yeah.
Everybody around her, people in her cabinet had them on, but she and a lot of people say, well, there was liberals that didn't have it on.
Well, fuck them too.
They're not the head of the party either. If anything, the fucking if you guys ran out of ribbons, give old Candy your ribbon, then, you fucking idiots, because that's the face of your party right now. I'm sorry that is your reality, but it is.
Who doesn't want to wear the ribbon?
Who doesn't want to wear the ribbon?
Who doesn't want to wear the ribbon? Candice doesn't want to wear the ribbon.
Fucking Barbie will not wear the ribbon.
It's bothersome, isn't it?
She's a bitch.
Yeah, it is, but it isn't, right? Like, to me, it's just fucking bizarre. Like, watch her. There's not zero interest in clapping for a dude at war. You got people around him doing it. That's when you put your fucking political allegiance and your religiosity and your fucking theocratic bullshit aside, and you go, I'm going to clap my dick off for this guy who's been bombed now for, like, I don't know.
In 100 years, are we going to look back at our existence and are we going to be past religion? Are we going to be able to?
I hope so.
To view it
on that track, and this kind of shit is what is going to put us behind. This is going to put us back in
100 years, though. Do you think it's gone? Do you think,
or is it worse? I don't know.
I think by process of elimination and natural selection, most of these people are probably going to fucking die.
Well, these ones are, but I'm thinking about their brainwashed kids.
They'll die too. They don't believe in science. Bonus.
No.
I know everybody's upset about the masking and the mandates, but they don't believe in science. They're not protected. They don't believe in the common good. They don't believe in reality, objective reality. Mm-hmm. They believe in some sky daddy. They believe in some story, Jonah, the whale, Noah's Ark, all that bullshit. It's literally like
religion?
These people are fucking. Yes, that is religion.
The whale is in the Bible?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I had no idea.
That story is one of the buttes in the Bible where it's like Jonah was fishing and all of a sudden this whale just ate him and then he swam around with him in his stomach. And like out of nowhere, the family's on the beach praying for Jonah's return. What happens while the family's on the beach praying for Jonah the fisherman's return? Out of nowhere comes the whale and he barfs him up onto the beach and everybody's like, it's a fucking miracle. Noah's Ark. There's another one. She believes that Noah's Ark was a real fucking thing. That somewhere in and around.
I didn't know that the whale was. Honestly, I swear to God.
Oh yeah, somewhere in and around Turkey, this guy just managed to build like a boat with no tools that was like 8 football fields long.
He was 600 years old too.
He was 600 years old. I forgot about that. Yeah, Noah was 600.
Very old.
And not only was he, because it's magic, right? So back then magic was cool. So he built with no tools. A 600-year-old guy built a fucking boat literally the size of an aircraft carrier for every animal on the planet, including and only 2 mosquitoes, by the way, which is fucking bullshit because they're everywhere now. Like these people believe that stuff, and they call people like me heretics for going, excuse me, just want to point that out. That's fucking crazy, and you're insane.
I'm stuck on the whale thing. So that's in the Bible.
That is in the Bible. Jonah and the whale.
All right. because that's kind of a crazy story. I didn't think it's kind of not believable.
It was like an Airbnb back in biblical times inside that whale.
Well, if that's not believable, how about we go back to the birth of the Christ? Let's deal with that for a second.
An old
Mary meets Joe. Joe and Mary get together. They hold off because they're like, we can't do it. We're Christians. And they're like, what does that mean? I don't know, but I feel special. And then one day, Mary's like, I'm getting fat. And Joe's like, how's that possible? You only eat unleavened bread and grains. And she's like, I don't know. And then 9 months later, she gets to give birth. And he's like, what the fuck's going on with her? I didn't bang her. Here's the thing. They want everybody to believe that God did.
Yeah, it's the worst cheating story ever. So it got out of hand like
Dad
that. Look where
banged
we are.
Okay, and then they put.
Why do you think those wise men showed up with gifts? Because they all felt guilty. They ran the train on her 9 months prior.
Maybe I can get a piece of that. That's what they were thinking.
We're all going to hell if
Probably.
that's a thing, right? But hold on. Then when did she put him in the river?
Who, the Christ? Or you're talking about Noah? You're talking about Moses.
Noah did
Didn't
that
they
with
put
his-
one of the
or
kids in
Moses,
the river?
yeah.
Didn't
Moses.
Jesus get to go for a ride on the
Couple
No,
thousand
Moses,
years
but-
prior to that, that was a guy named Moses who apparently was put in the river, fished out by a Pharaoh's daughter, and became the most powerful man in the world, who indeed could separate the entire Red Sea into two bits so they could fucking cross, and then it crashed. And here's the other.
who lit the bush on fire?
The burning bush, that was God. And guess what was in the burning bush, which is incredible? The 10 Commandments.
He gave them to Moses.
Yeah. And he's like, go down there and you tell those fucking
Are you a
people,
religious guy?
this is the new thing to
Ryan?
do.
No, I was brought up Roman Catholic, and by the time I hit the age of reason, I went, yeah, something's not pure. You guys fucked me with Santa Claus. You're not fucking me with this guy now. Like,
And that priest is looking at me weird too.
Yeah.
I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Actually, our priest was our Catholic priest was he was a great, really nice old man, but he sounded, and I'm not shitting you, he sounded like Elmer Fudd. And my entire family are a bunch of hypocritical atheist cocksuckers that put me in Catholic school, but none of them had to go. So, but they went to all of my religious rites, my sacraments that I received, including my communion. And when Father Elmer Fudd started speaking, my super gay Uncle Jim and my Aunt Brian were there, and my Uncle Jim could not contain himself in the church. And he's about 6'5" and 280 pounds on a good, and he doesn't look like a big guy. Like, he looks like that's just how he's supposed to be built, because he's so fucking massive. And he doesn't have a quiet laugh. And as soon as he started talking, that was it. And he's doing the voice back, which is making the rest of my family laugh. And here's however old you are when you get your communion, like 8 or 10 or whatever. Here's me, just my family's behind me. The church is packed, and I'm getting, I'm going to hell for the rest of my life.
I'll just be happy that's the story you tell about Father Fudd, as opposed to another one where you're like, and then he took me into the back library.
And we played Bugs Bunny. Oh, yeah.
What's Bugs Bunny? Is
refreshing.
that in the
Holy-
Bible now? Are you
It's
guys
refreshing. Yeah. Speaking of refreshing, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad that our friend Ryan knows how to tell time in different countries, because if he didn't, we wouldn't be here.
Alex!
Hello, guys.
Yes, I was right.
We were worried. We were worried. We had
We
a
have
time
daylight
change issue, Alex.
Yeah, we have daylight savings time over here, and I'm like 4 o'clock rolling around. I'm like, where's Alex? I start to sweat. I'm sending you notes because everything's going. It's all my fault, but I'm just so happy to see I can almost cry.
We were worried. We were worried, Alex. You're good. You're safe.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Great
Very,
to see
very
you. Look at
relieved.
that smile. Let's turn it into the Alex Dayrabekov show, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Alex Dayrabekov program. You're wearing a collared shirt too. You got to look good in war, right?
Yeah.
right.
Yep. Yeah.
How
You
are
have
my
a shirt
friend?
underneath that says you shaved your balls.
Yeah. I'm going to send you one.
Call back. Don't worry about it, Alex.
Oh my
I had
God.
that. I had that shirt made once for me, Alex, before a TV appearance. I shaved my balls for this. It said on the shirt, and then they're like, "You can't wear it." I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to send it to
my.
Alex."
Alex does CNN
my
now. We need to get him one for when he's on with
Anderson.
Anderson Cooper.
How before we get to the business, how was that? You're becoming a media star over here in North America. Saw you on Anderson Cooper the other day.
I didn't even know. I don't even know who the guy is. Honestly.
Makes it even better.
Quite possibly one of the biggest media icons in North
the world.
America.
Yeah.
It's
the
okay.
world, really.
It's okay,
Just
Alex.
so you know,
He's just a dude. Yeah.
no big deal.
Yeah.
Well, I googled him after it because I just asked lots of people to connect me through with some journalists, and somebody connected me. They said, "Can you go live at whatever time?" I came out at CNN. I didn't even see who I was talking to, and then whatever.
Well, because he's in Poland, right?
Yeah, he's
Anderson
in Lviv.
Cooper's in Poland, so you probably were on a so he's being broadcast back to the studio in Atlanta or whatever, and then you are. So then they had to have you couldn't even see him, right? You could just hear him?
Yeah.
In your ear? Okay. All right. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, you were great. Glad you're here. I am so glad to see your face today, as always. How have the last few days and weeks been? We get updates. I want to hear from you. We'll get to a couple of videos here. But how have you been, and what's going on?
When did we speak last time? Was it like 3 days?
Yeah, it was probably 5 days ago. Yeah.
Or 5 days ago? It's
Great.
for us. It's for me. It's like an eternity. The time goes so slow here, a lot slower than in the. Like typically, when you change the situation, when you go, on vacation, the time goes slower. It's not a vacation, of course; it's a war. But the time, it feels like yesterday was so long ago. 5 days ago, it was a different era. Since we talked last time, I got to probably a different stage of accepting this war, because that, as I wrote to Dean a couple of days ago, I learned about the deaths of people close to me, and that was like, it struck me that even before that, I had known that we were in a war. The buildings are damaged, people die, but it was still abstract. You know what I'm talking about. It's like, all of us, we had known about Syria, and in Ukraine, I knew about Syria, but it was some abstract things happening somewhere, tanks and Aleppo and all of this, and here also I was like, okay, people die, it's a war, but here the people I know die, the people I talked to die, and that struck me, and I had a little of reflection on that, and I cried, and it was hard. I went over it. I actually called. I can tell the story for everyone to understand what I'm talking about. So, a guy I know from my apartment building. This guy, his name is Dennis. We had talks. We had arguments with him. We didn't even talk. We didn't talk for the past half a year. We didn't even talk to each other. We had a last argument, and we broke up completely. And a couple of days ago, I heard that he wanted to evacuate his family from Irpin, his wife and his son, and they were driving a car as a civilians. They were driving a car, and on one of the places, I actually know this place with the gas station. They were just turning left on the road, and they heard shooting. So the Russians actually shoot them right in the front window. What
The windshield.
The windshield. Yeah, the windshield. The guy died on the spot. His son got wounded 3 times, and his wife was also wounded. They are alive, fortunately. And I talked to the son, and he actually knows the entire story, and he already went over it a bit. 23-year-old kid, and we discussed with him how we will continue. I told him that I asked him whether he is ready to talk to the journalists, and he said yes, because it's been already like 5 or 6 days. went over it, and he wants to talk to the journalists. He wants to talk to the prosecutors. So I'm finding the connections to connect him to the prosecutors, because these, cases like this have to be known to the people, to the court, and this has to be dealt with.
Documented, yeah, for sure.
Documented.
Well, it's that's not something that we think of, right? Like there are crimes going on. Like we don't understand that here. Like we see war, and there are criminal courts for war. There are rules about war, but we forget that every day there are thousands of crimes against human beings, right? And that need to be dealt with, and that's just another layer, right? That's another layer for people like you to get involved in. Is it hard? I mean, you talk, of course it's hard. What a stupid question. Does it help you to know that you're doing these things? You're helping out, coordinating with bomb shelters. You're helping people who've lost family, friends who've lost family, get in touch with people to tell those stories. Is that something that helps you, or does it continue to grind you?
That's a good one. Well, I feel like I've never felt before, really. I feel like I'm doing exactly what is needed now. Because when you do your typical work, and I do my typical work, it's like an everyday routine. You do good things, you get money and all of this. But here, what I'm doing now is just, it's a totally different layer. I can't even explain to you. Yesterday, I spontaneously decided that I'm not going to work. I stopped working. I just explained to my employer, I said, I'm not going to work. I take sabbatical. I don't need payments, no money. I just want to invest all my time into this, because this is a historical moment, and I want to keep this in my memory. I want to understand that I'm a little small part of it, but I'm here. I'm participating in it. With all the small things that I'm doing, everybody else is doing. I'm a part of the entire community. It's not just myself. It's like we are in community of ants. We are like, and what do you call it? We are like a hive. We have bees,
Colony.
lots of bees, a colony of ants, and everybody is doing a small piece to get to the victory.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Is it is it hard to think about, because when I think about you and we exchange texts or I get a video, I wonder about you thinking about your old life, which is like not long ago, right? It's 20 days, 21 days ago, 3 weeks ago. Do you have thoughts of like getting back to that, or is that acceptance kind of hit another gear? Obviously, with you saying to your work, and I cannot believe you were working in Canada. We call guys like you game seveners, by the way. Like
what is it? Game
seveners, like guys that get up for that final game and they won't quit. There's no quit in them. They just keep going, and they take care of their responsibilities, and they're game seven all the time. They're just those guys that you count on. It's like the perfect employee, I think, would be, taking care of the war effort at home, but still actually logging on his computer to get a few hours in because he's got to get back to some people when he's not coordinating the war effort. Like, what is that like for you? Have you just detached from that life?
Yeah, that's the word. Detached from that life. I just thinking that before the war started, the kid was like 1 week old, and we were thinking about what kind of what do you call it, baby cradle or baby bed?
Yeah, crib.
What do you call it?
Crib.
Crib.
Yeah, CRIB.
Yeah,
crib.
Yeah. What kind of crib should we choose? We browsed the internet. We went to IKEA, and we picked up this one or that one.
That sounds like hell.
Everybody else. Yeah. No, really, I don't care what kind of crib we have. I don't care. I don't care what we didn't have a baby carriage even. And when we arrived here, we didn't have a baby carriage. I don't have anything to walk with the baby with, And our neighbors just gave us whatever carriage they had. It is red, and I have a son. But I don't care. That's fine. I don't care what I wear. I don't care if I look good or not. It doesn't matter at all. I don't care what kind of nails I have.
I just
doesn't
don't. I
matter
don't
to
get how
me.
anybody can be expected to keep their head in the game in a job in any sort of employment anyway. Like, how could they think that you could even devote any time to thought to your job when your
Energy,
entire
energy,
everything
yeah.
around you is exploding? It doesn't make a lot. Is business trying to move on? Like, is business still trying to keep going in Ukraine right now? Like, is that what's happening?
Yeah, in fact, the government for the past several days is asking and persuading the businesses to start over, because this is another war, an economic war. If the businesses do not work, we don't have economy. It will collapse. We already lose the GDP, but we will lose more if the businesses do not work. And I actually walked around Chukase, where I am now, and the bakeries started opening. The restaurant. I went to a restaurant yesterday.
Come on.
It was like, what? The restaurant was working.
How fucking unbelievable was that? Where you're like walking around and you see a restaurant open and you're like, a slice of regular, please.
Yeah, slice of regular. That's the word. Yeah.
I would imagine it's good for the mentality of the people as well. It keeps them going.
Keep the social structures going, right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Give them
along
some
with the
sense of
economy
norm.
for sure.
Yeah.
So you sent me a couple of videos. Can we go through these? They're fucking wild, by the way. We'll do the one just outside the long drive. If you could just kind of set that up, what the video that's like. And I had to cut it down to like 2 minutes, but the big stuff kind of amazed all of us here, because we were looking at how long that lineup of like burnt out shitty Russian stuff is, and it told a story about legitimately how the Ukrainian people fight. I mean, explain to us what we're watching here, if you can.
Yeah, this is supposedly it's in the north of the country, from Chernobyl, the way from Chernobyl to Hostomel. That's what I see. It's some ladies are just driving in a car and shooting this video, showing what is the leftovers of this second strongest army. But and this is just one single part of it, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's by Kharkiv. It's by Mariupol. It's by Nikolaev. It's by Sumy, and this is just one part of it, and it's huge, because for the past 20 days I spent a lot of time on browsing all the news, all the videos around. This is insane. I have not seen anything like this within the past 20 days, like the entire column of those armored vehicles, tanks, whatever, some cars, and all burned down.
Yeah. Oh, they got fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
hard.
Yeah. And the lady is actually saying that look, there's corpses around lying on the right there. So it's like, well,
are they still, Alex? Are they still not tending to their dead? That was a story that we've heard here in North America, that the Russians aren't bringing their dead home.
Well, I heard that they have their, what do we call it, mobile morgues.
Yeah, mobile crematorium. They got a mobile.
Yes. Yeah. So they burn them right there. Yeah, that's what I heard. I also heard that there's lots of them are like moved back to Belarus. The wounded ones, the hospitals are overwhelmed with wounded ones, and there's 13,000. Official statistics says 13,000 Russian soldiers are dead.
Yeah, there was still a guy on the back of that back tank there. Did you see him at the top of the gun?
Yeah. I couldn't tell. I've seen it twice now. I can't tell if he was alive or dead, because he was kind of slumped over a little bit.
I think he was very dead.
I don't think. Yeah,
very dead.
He's waiting for CAA.
Yeah, he's gonna be there for a while. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, toast. Yeah, that's it. Are you confident? Like, when you look at these videos, right, and you see them all the time, they wander around social media in Ukraine amongst Ukrainian people. These things have got to make you feel good. Like not just these column videos of like completely burnt out Russian artillery units, but like the news that they're retreating to Belarus, a lot of them, the news that they're reaching out to other countries for help because they're running out of shit and people like, and the news that a no-fly zone isn't necessarily out of the picture at this point. The news that, European leaders and NATO leaders are all going to meet. You've got, I believe today you've got the leader of Poland, Hungary, and Latvia or Estonia
Slovenia.
in Kyiv.
In Kyiv.
Slovenia.
In Kyiv.
Yeah, they're in Kyiv.
What's the mood like among, because like, listen, we get a lot of information. You get it a lot on the ground, and you've obviously got sources and people that you talk to because of the effort that you're involved in. But what's the feeling like? Are you feeling positive? Like, is there some hope on the horizon that you can kind of count on, keep in your back pocket to keep you moving? These videos are great. Seeing a bunch of destroyed Russian vehicles and dead dudes, it's awesome. But like, when it comes to the idea that you're going to move through this successfully as a country, do you get a better feeling today than you did, let's say a week ago?
Well, yeah, I probably told you guys last time that we are a peaceful nation. Peaceful and very warm-hearted nation, and welcoming and hospitable and all. But now the entire nation turned into an angry bird. We're an angry bird. We're so angry, and it's probably I would call it abnormal in my previous life. But now it's like it's really normal for us to be happy. To be happy seeing such things like this. This is a horrible thing. Dead people, corpses, but we are happy because we have this. Because our happiness is not about the people that are there, but our happiness is that the enemy is actually defeated. We want them to be defeated. These are our enemies. They came to our land to kill us. We don't want to be killed, so they have to be killed. And I
think that elation is completely justifiable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
it is.
and
it is awful. It is awful, and your humanity is shining through here, Alex. In that, I mean, that you want to make sure that you say that out loud, right? Like these are people. These they're victims, right? And it's
but when it comes to
it's okay for you to actually be okay with seeing those images. It's okay. You're allowed to. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, you're getting to that. You're getting to that point where you're seeing somebody that could have killed you. If they were still alive, they wouldn't stop at killing you. So how could you not feel relief that they're dead? Like I think it's completely understandable where you're coming from.
No judgment.
Yeah. Also, another thing that I can share with you is that just today the news is probably the good news. It's not official yet, but we will hope for the official news tomorrow. Is that in the area where I'm from, Irpin, Hostomel, Bucha, Ukrainians, starting from actually last evening, they started counterattacking the Russians, and they they pushed them back, and it was a huge fight. The witnesses from that area saying that actually the walls were trembling, the sky was red like never before. Even in those bombing that I showed on my videos in Irpin, it was nothing as compared to this night and day. And it looks like, luckily, that, or hopefully, that we are kicking their asses really well.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Alex, do you know of many, like what parts of the Ukraine does Russia have, or is there any? Do they have any sort of semblance of control? Like from what you're hearing in Ukraine, does Russia control any areas,
any major cities or anything like that?
Yeah.
Like we hear yes and no, but you see the devastation, which is awful. But invariably you hear the same things, which is like, oh, they took over Mariupol, and you're like, no, they didn't. Look at these guys fight their asses off, right? But what are you hearing in terms of control? Yeah,
Mariupol is in blockade, just like, and they continue just ruining it, like Aleppo. So they just want to create it like an image for the country. That's what we're going to do with the entire country if you don't take our conditions into consideration. Yeah. So they are really like hundreds of houses, civilian houses, thousands of deaths. Nobody knows how many. The official statistics says 2,500, but I heard already more than thousands of people dead, and they do not get humanitarian aid, so they do not have water, they do not have food. So Mariupol is in the worst situation now, unfortunately. But it's not taken; it's in a blockade. What else? Basically, nothing else.
Oh, that's good.
Nothing else.
Amazing.
No? Oh,
Yeah.
Kherson is also kind of occupied, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, but the people actually come out and protest
Yeah,
against
the old-
tanks.
Just to see,
Singing
there was
anthem.
like 700 people, Ukrainians, walking towards these Russian guards, singing the anthem. The guards are firing off bullets, and they're like, they didn't even flinch. I would have been on the ground. They're like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the city where they captured the mayor, right? Where they took him out of the legislature, I think.
Oh, that is
Oh,
a
they
different
changed
one.
the flag too. I think they
That's
tried.
that's a different one. That is Melitopol.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. With
Was
Kherson,
Mariupol pretty? Was it like a beautiful city, beautiful port? I heard that area of the country was lovely too.
Actually, if you know Saakashvili invested a lot of time and effort into selling the idea that that Mariupol can be another Batumi. Saakashvili, when he was the president of Georgia, he actually rebuilt Batumi to become, well, not exactly, but at least something closer to Dubai in
Okay.
Georgia. So he
Yeah.
wanted to do the same in Mariupol. And Saakashvili always said that if Mariupol is rebuilt and it's nice, the Russians would never, shoot there. They would never bomb it. I've never been in Mariupol, unfortunately, but from what I heard for the past couple of years, it's some things that they did in Mariupol are really revolutionary for the entire country. So the good mayor, they had a good mayor, had a good council, the city parliament. So they went in the right direction. But after what happened, I don't know. We'll see how to rebuild it.
Yeah, it just looks devastated. Like you can't, in the pictures that you show from drones, can't really tell what the heck is going on. And it's funny because you mentioned Irpin. You also sent us a video from Irpin, and this is cool. It's cool and it's sad at the same time. But I can't decide if this is like that kind of warfare, like urban warfare where they don't care who they put in harm's way. But these, if I'm not mistaken, are. Do I have it? Yeah, I got it right here. If I'm not, these are tanks that they've literally just parked in neighborhoods in Irpin, like Russian tanks, and people are just walking around. Is that correct?
Yeah. From what I see, it's not even Irpin, it's Bucha, but nevertheless,
Bucha,
it's the same area. So they actually parked in the yards of people. And there's no comments on this video, and I don't understand whether the Russians are still there or they just left them. I can just guess that this is a civilian walking and shooting it. So my blind guess is that it's just they just left. They just left them.
Like so they're fighting in Irpin and they park their tanks there and they just split. Because whoever's recording that is just walking around recording it freely, right? Like no one's hassling them or anything.
Yeah. It's my assumption is that the Russians just fled.
Because there's a big defection. There's a big level of defection going on that we're not seeing a lot of, just because of the fact that the press we're losing press over there. Like press is dying, so press is very hesitant to go into certain places. So we're not seeing all of it happening, but there's apparently a lot of defection going on where people are just, see you later, fuck this, I'm hungry, I'm cold. This is all bullshit. Nothing here is what they told us it was going to be. Why am I here? So,
well, they haven't been able to secure a supply chain, right? I mean,
no.
If you guys have watched any of the news here,
because Ukrainians are smart. They just keep blowing up like gas tanks, gas trucks.
Yeah, you guys have really the counter battles are and how smart Ukraine soldiers have been in that regard has really halted the ability of Russia to move in. And that's why I asked, because we're hearing mixed things here about how much land they've actually had a chance to secure. But we've got, the news agencies covering this, and now we're going to check it with somebody who spent 25 years on the Pentagon, like that bullshit, right? Yeah. So you get a guy that gives his analysis of what Russia was trying to do, and inevitably all of these conversations end with, well, they failed here, they didn't do this, and there's always that supply chain conversation. So if you're sent into a country to take it over, and all of a sudden you meet this resistance, this group of people is pushing back, and it wasn't supposed to be like that, you're going to reevaluate your decision, individually, right? Jesus,
Ukraine's playing chess while Russia plays checkers.
I get a loaf of bread once a week, right? It's bullshit.
You don't have to go after the big bang guns. You go after the things that keep them alive and keep them moving. And
maybe hitchhike back to fucking Moscow.
Alex, you want to say something, Alex?
Yeah, but guys, it's in the normal mind, in the normal world. That is abnormal. That's an authoritarian.
Nailed it.
Empire, and they lie to each other. So the communication is completely wrong there.
It's not even like for us. Yeah, dude, it's so good. Like, here's something you might like. Putin has put 9 to 12 of his generals in jail because they kept leaking information to the Ukrainian forces.
It's insane.
I was dying laughing. He's like, "Did you leak?" No. And they're like, "House arrest you?" No. House arrest. He's like literally house arrested an entire country, and it's like, and the information is still getting to the Ukrainian people to the point where they have lost so much ammunition, they've lost so much machinery, they've lost so many people. They're phoning China going, we're running out of stuff here. We didn't plan properly, and these Ukrainians are fucking game seveners.
Yeah,
and
it's good. It's good.
China's at least being a little hesitant on giving them any sort of cooperation at this point.
I don't think it matters. I think they could go like at this point, Russia could co-op Thanos, and the Ukrainian people would kick his ass.
But look what Russia is asking China for.
Mm-hmm.
Food.
Yeah. Food and fuel. Yeah.
So
because those Cold War meal replacement MREs are all gone bad.
What's the fucking point of this?
I'm no General Patton or any war genius, but I think if you're planning an invasion of a country, you want to make sure you got plenty of food on hand.
Especially if you're planning on sticking around for more than a couple of days, which I think the original intent was. He thought he was going to be in and out in under a week, and this has fucked him. This has fucked him hard. And apparently, there's unconfirmed reports from those generals
right in the
that you mentioned that are now in house arrest. Those generals were reporting that all troops that were designated for the Ukraine invasion have been utilized. So now they would have to rely on defense troops and any sort of allies that they may still have. Who knows? Nigeria might come in handy, and a couple of weird Syrians might show up, but that's going to be about it at this point. Like
how does that make you feel, Alex? Like, how does it make you feel hearing this stuff and having a laugh about this?
Well,
it's crazy.
We're just completely fucked.
It's a waste. It was such a waste. Like
it's such a waste.
Yeah, it's such a needless, endless, stupid.
It's so hard to wrap your head around the idea that this is something that he thought he needed to do, right? Like,
well, I think it does a couple things too. I think it exposes him to be the fraud that he fucking is, right? Putin, the fraud that he is.
Somebody needs to stick a grain
the pictures and the videos. Oh, and Loc'r knows for a fact, Alex, that Putin has a tiny pecker. So
for sure he does.
Oh, just a little wiener. That's little wiener dudes do stuff like this all the time. Just like a micro penis. It looks like a knuckle.
Yeah.
Looks like probably a button on a fur coat.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
That's all that
Judging-
is. This
judging
is
from-
this small penis shit. This is what it is. Him and
And it
fucking
doesn't work.
Trump.
Alex,
Like-
that's a what? What were you want to say? I want a penis comment from you. You were starting, and then we interrupt you. What is it?
Judging from his palace.
Yeah.
That's like people in Alberta with big trucks with big tires and the truck nuts. That's exactly it.
I never see a guy in a jacked up truck and go, there's a real man. I look and I go, there's a guy with a small dick.
Yeah, exactly.
I never, ever think.
And huge nuts, just a small pecker. Like it looks weird when he's in the shower, right?
Yeah.
Like someone put a mushroom on a beanbag chair.
I've said this on my show and on this and on this podcast. I've said that if you get to run a country before they give you the final oath, you should just step behind a curtain and somebody from some like foreign like international body goes, all right, whip it out. I'm Sarah, the penis checker. I'm here to see if
From
this
Geneva,
has
the
actually
Geneva
any
Penis
girth
Convention.
to it. And if he pulls it out,
Geneva
little
Penis
dick, we go,
Convention.
we're gonna have to go back to the polls, everybody.
That's a
Putin's
great
got a
idea.
fucking small weenie. I
We're
swear to God,
invalidating
that
this
needs to
election.
happen.
North Korea? Fuck, are you joking right now?
Not only, yes, that guy's got just a no dick at all. Like at all.
So Alex, what is the next like? I don't know. 2 weeks look like for you? Do you plan anymore? Like, are you're in the central part of Ukraine? You went out and you're like, oh, fuck,
Gonna go camping this summer?
Yeah. What do you got planned this weekend?
Any good movies playing?
Is Batman showing?
Yeah.
Actually, last time when we talked, it was, I guess, Friday or Saturday, we were thinking of moving west simply because person who I don't even know, she's my I don't know her personally. She's my Facebook friend. She offered me to go to the west of Ukraine, which is closer to the Polish border, and she said there's this resort center in the woods, fresh air, very safe place. She said, you have a little kid, you will be safe there. I said, I don't want, but I asked my wife and she said she wanted to go there. I was like,
Well,
okay,
that's settled.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
I said,
settled.
okay. So we planned on to go there on Sunday, but then finally we decided we'll wait for another week.
Mhm.
You know what? On Sunday morning, the Russian missiles hit this place Yavoriv, which is 20 kilometers away from the Polish border, and it was a huge bombing, like 8 missiles, and apparently more than 30 people died there.
Mhm.
The place where we were invited is 5 kilometers away. So I called that lady. I was like, well, you invited us to this calm and quiet place. How is it? She's like, it was terrible. It was like hell. Like it was really, really crazy at night, and they are still trembling with fear.
One of
She was
our
like,
friends was in that base that got bombed. He's a Canadian and he's volunteering for the Foreign Legion, the fighters. And his name is Anthony, and he is actually there training and preparing. Many of them have made their way into Kyiv.
Yeah, I think
I've
he's
heard.
in Kyiv now. Yeah.
Is he? Has Anthony
Yeah.
made his way in? Yeah. So that's a development from the perspective of outside foreigners wanting to fight and protect your country, Alex.
Really good. That's really good news. Yeah.
But he
that's-
was in there. He was there when it was bombed. He was tweeting about it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you decided you just decided on a lark not to go, and then that weekend they had a big bombing. Like that's fortuitous, dude. You're meant to be the president of something really important, as is your family. I'm convinced. It's like Final Destination stuff. You're going to be like the most important person in the world one day. Maybe your family.
Alex, and
Yeah.
that smile. I needed to see that smile today. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for
Yeah, there's
what-
a force
I-
that's keeping you guys safe. That's for sure.
Go ahead, Alex.
I actually wanted to. Well, why I told you this story, because there's no safe place in the country now.
Mhm.
Everywhere it's risky. It doesn't matter where you go. You stay here, you go. The risk is pretty much the same anywhere where you go. So we stay where we are. We accept the risk. Bombing can be any moment. We can die any moment. Fuck it.
Yeah,
God, I love this
It's-
guy.
it's
I
pretty much
fucking love this
but You know what? That's the resolve that you have to not go crazy. Yeah, you'll
Right
go
there.
crazy. Yeah, you'll go crazy if you don't think that way, I think. And I think you're right. You can't spend your entire time just moving from place to place to place when inevitably it either is or it isn't. And that's a great way to look at it. I think that's a smart way to stay healthy up here.
I do have to say, if I was in your shoes, I'd be just drunk all day. That
Oh, yeah.
drinking right now. Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
That'd be
Have you had a
that'd be
night where you're
glass
like,
of pure alcohol.
yeah, have you had a night where you're like, I'm going to drink this whole fucking thing?
Oh, first, alcohol is not in supermarkets anymore for the past
All
2
right,
weeks.
I'll stay in Canada.
Yeah. But when we guys get together at some point, we will drink hard.
Oh, yeah.
Alex,
It's on us. It's on us.
Yes, we
should
will.
do that. We should plan a trip.
That is my friend Alex Dayrabekov. You can follow him at dayrabekov.com. His name is right there, at DAYRABEKOV. You can look for him and his updates. He just put a 19-day update just the other day. I just put that out. Everything you send me, I make sure people see it. I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for the laugh. Thank you for the smile. I'm with Loc'r here too. I know I get overly emotional when I talk to you, but seeing you smile and having a laugh with you and taking you away from that for a bit and then you bringing us there makes everybody better. And it makes us feel like we're there with you, which we are. I'm there with you every day. I send you a text this morning. I'm with you, dude. Wherever you go today, I'm with you. So I hope you remember that. And I want to thank you again graciously for your time.
Yeah, I don't want to make this about me, but I sure fucking needed to see you today. We were worried about you, Alex.
Yeah.
When you didn't show
I
up.
wasn't even
timing.
coming on the show today. It was because of you that I came. So.
Yeah. So good. We're glad you're safe. And take care of that family of yours, okay, brother? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Stay
you, guys.
safe. Stay
Thank
safe.
you,
And we
guys.
are going to get shit-faced one day.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for it too. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon, my friend. Stay safe. Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Alex
Bye, Alex.
Dayrabekov, ladies and gentlemen, from Cherkasy, Ukraine, right in the middle of Ukraine. What a nice man.
That made my
Lovely-
day.
man.
That made
Right?
my day.
He's so
Right?
sweet. Just such a humble, sweet dude, you know? Like,
Yeah.
imagine
Very
any of us
unlike
in
us.
his. Yeah, I was going to say any one of us in his shoes at this point.
I would have left a long time ago. Nah, I don't think I would have actually. But
No?
it doesn't matter.
I
Like, it's
want to
just
be
like-
the guy that stays and finds a way to use his, to overcome his pussydom and do something
That's
for
the
that.
official word. Scientific.
I know I
Yeah.
keep bringing this up, but I just put slippers on because my feet are cold.
Okay, good.
Right?
Yeah, there's no way you can go to war without your
Like,
slippers.
fuck. Yeah.
Can
I'd
I
be
bring my
like,
slippers?
Can I pack
Sure.
my slippers? My feet.
Do you
might get
need
cold.
somebody to broadcast from a basement somewhere? I
Yes,
can
I
do
do.
that.
I've always been a good talker.
I'm quite a
Need to
chatty
choose
person. Thanks for doing this, guys. Appreciate it. As always.
Thanks for sticking it out and waiting for him because that would have been a shame. So,
Oh,
that's,
dude, I
that's
would have
awesome.
come back and done that. I could.
Yeah,
give
I
two
figured,
fucks
but
about that
we
stuff.
kept the audience here, so that was nice to have everybody in the comments sending their
We're
love
about
as
2
well.
minutes
Wasn't that
away
nice?
from taking a dump
Yeah.
in that fucking blue bin next to
You
me.
gotta
too,
take a
so I
shit,
gotta
eh?
go.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, good to
nice.
see you guys.
It's a turtle touching cloth there. He's got the groundhog popping.
I love that guy. I love that
He's
guy so
so
much.
good.
Isn't he awesome? Thanks for doing this, Lynn.
Nothing,
Appreciate it.
nothing is off limits. I love
No.
you, man.
Love you too. Talk to you soon.
Take
At
it
Ryan
easy.
Lindley on Twitter is where you can find him. The Sheeple Shepherd podcast as well. Go and download, subscribe it. Thank you. If you want to donate to Alex in the subscription, or go to Dayrabekov on Twitter at DAYRABEKOV. And there's a link there to be able to donate. He is taking money in and out and making sure that people can get something to eat and drink. And he's taking care of the people in those bomb shelters and all that other stuff. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. Good to see him smile. I wanted to ask if the sex trade was still up and running because nothing kills that trade in Europe. Like literally nothing. But I didn't think that would be appropriate. But I feel like we're making enough headway that I could probably ask him that next time. Anyway, stay safe. And obviously Slava Ukraine, the people of Ukraine. And thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at deanblundell.com. That would be ideal. You can also subscribe to our socials at It's Dean Blundell on Twitter, D Blundell Show. You can also follow us, subscribe on Facebook, Dean Blundell Show on Facebook, Twitch as well, YouTube. Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. Super easy. You can watch this stuff. You can see Alex in real time, that good-looking son of a gun. He's going to be fine. So is Ukraine. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye.